Welcome to a world of thrills, a world of drama, of capes and tights, a world where death is a revolving door. Welcome to the Geek Matrix.
Dun, 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 dun. Welcome, everybody, to the Geek
Welcome.
Matrix DC Comics Review Show, episode number 217. And I better re-rate because Josh ain't here to correct me. For a while,
it's right
there,
now.
Well, shit. Yeah, Josh ain't here, but everybody, welcome back, Brandon.
Whoa!
Woo!
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. But hey, it's great to be back. It's been almost 2 months, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There
yeah.
was no escape.
I'm glad you guys didn't kill each other while I was gone.
It was hairy a couple times, I'll say that.
But yeah, no, it's good to be back. And hopefully the sound of my voice doesn't drive our small amount of listeners away.
Oh, I'm sure it'll bring more people in. We needed you, man. Like, I don't know how much you've heard, how much you got a chance to listen to the show over the past little bit, but for a good minute there, I kept screwing up the number, and for some reason, I kept thinking we were in the 600s. So I would always say like 612, 613. I'm like, why the fuck am I saying 600? I don't get it. I still don't understand why I kept jumping to 6, but yeah, that's besides the point. I eventually figured
spiritually, you wanted the show to be in the 600s. I don't know why, but
I don't know either. But here we are. All right, so we are here as always every week to talk about DC Comics releases, as as potentially a few other things. But first, Brandon, welcome back, sir. It's so lovely to have you back.
Man, it's great to be back.
Has your time off been?
It has been good. I got to do some traveling, which was great. I discovered what it's like to basically have to set up an apartment from scratch. So yeah, it's been a lot. I got to play some music. It's been a lot of running around, a lot of back and forth, but things are finally starting to settle down, which means I get to come back and harass these guys about comics, which I have not gotten to do in a very long time. And I also hadn't been able to read comics in a long time, which honestly was kind of why I didn't really get a chance to listen to the show, because I wanted to make sure I had read the issues before you guys talked about them. So now I can catch up on that and see, how much you guys were fighting while I was away.
There's a couple squabbles here and there, but we tried to keep it civil.
Honestly, though, I probably could have listened to it and had no context, and I would have been fine, because I'm sure you guys were arguing about stuff that wasn't even related to comics. I'm sure there were more arguments about food or life or wrestling or whatever the hell.
There was an episode, I think it was the week we were both sick, and we kind of cut the book short a little bit because we were both so sick, and it still ended up being 2.5 hours because we just kept bullshitting about other stuff.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
Because on this comic show, we do not talk about comics. Comics are more of an afterthought.
I like to think of us as the Top Gear of comic book shows. Where you can.
Is that what we are?
You could enjoy Cars and you still enjoy the show, but you don't have to enjoy Cars to enjoy the show. You just have to have fun. You just have to like fun. And
why is that not our slogan? We're the Top Gear of comics. That's awesome.
That should be.
Really should be.
We are the Top Gear of comic book shows.
You don't have to love comics to have a good time.
Exactly. That's what I say.
Other than that, it's just been settling into post-graduation life. So it's been good.
Right on. How's it feel to be graduated?
A huge relief, but also the uncertainty of what am I doing with my life. So
you gotta get a job.
Now I gotta get a job, and it's fun until it's not. But I'm at least in good spirits. I get to do this, so
exactly.
Yeah.
How is New York City life so far?
Crazy, but honestly, everything I had hoped for in terms of being able to just walk everywhere and explore and catch the train to pretty much anywhere I want to go,
Right?
as opposed to have to, like drive or catch the bus or something. It's just, yeah, it's been chaotic, but it's been pretty much everything I hoped it would be, which has
Right
been
on.
great.
And you're in Brooklyn, I think you said?
Brooklyn, yep, in
Right on.
Borough Park, which is one of the neighborhoods on like the southeast of Brooklyn.
Nice. Man, I've always wanted to go to New York City. That's got to be
Oh,
fun.
dude, yeah. I hope you can someday. And honestly,
Yeah.
I hope you can come for like, New York Comic Con or
Oh,
Anime NYC or like
I love
some
it.
week when there's a big convention in town.
Yeah.
Because I would give my right hand to be able to go convention
Yeah.
hopping with you. That would
That'd
be
be
so
so
much
much fun.
Man, we'd
Okay.
get into some crazy shenanigans.
Okay,
Let me tell you.
let's make a pact right now. I'll go to New York CC 1 year with you. You come to Fan Expo with me.
Oh, dude, I actually really do want to come to Fan Expo in Toronto at some point. In Toronto, not Toronto.
Toronto. Oh, you said it the right way. You
said it the
are
right way.
a Torontonian.
Remembered. Yeah.
Good man.
No,
Good
man. Let me tell you, if
can
Rob
show
and
you
I
how
were
horrible
together
401 is.
on the exhibition hall of any convention, we'd tear it up. It'd be the dream team.
Hell yeah, we got to get the weekend pass.
Yeah.
I haven't done a full weekend in years.
Oh man, yeah. I can't do it anymore. My back
No.
started to get in pain.
Oh man, tell me about it. I looked an omnibus around last time I went.
It's like suicide. And I decided
is.
like I can't do it anymore unless I get like a dolly or something. I just can't lug that on my back.
Yeah. I made the stupid mistake. Last year I had my backpack, my JanSport, which after 15 years is still like pristine.
Damn.
Yeah, these things are amazing. I lugged that around. I don't know if you remember how many books I got last year, but my back was feeling it by the end of the day, right? So this year I decided to bring a messenger bag, and that was an even worse idea.
Nope, that's gonna
all
kill
the
your
pressure was
shoulder.
on one shoulder.
Yep. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I learned that the hard way because usually at these shows they'll give you like the big tote bags.
Yeah.
And so what I would do is just shove everything in there, and like by 4 or 5 o'clock, I was like, "Oh, my arm hurts.
Yep, I'm done.
I'm in pain."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the past, I could just power through it, but I can't do it anymore.
Exactly.
But
well,
enough about me.
Let's make that.
What's going on with you?
Not a whole lot. I just had my second wedding anniversary.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't know if that's true because a little birdie told me that you spent quite a bit of dough on some comic memorabilia.
Yeah, I'm partly ashamed about that, but at the same time, my wife, not all of it was spent on me. My wife also spent. Well, I spent money on her. She wanted things in the shop, so I feel good. We went away to Niagara Falls for a weekend away for our second anniversary. And I've been trying to go to a comic shop in Niagara Falls for like 2 years. Every time we go, it's always closed or we don't get enough time or too many other things to do. So I asked her, like, this weekend, can we just please go? We're here for like a day and a half. Let's try to find some time. It's not far from the hotel. And that was like the first stop we took. Before we even actually got to the hotel, we went to the comic shop. She was like, "You're going to go?" Because I feel bad we've never been able to go. So we went, and I bought some stuff. My wife bought more stuff than me, which was amazing.
That is amazing.
I felt really good about it. Actually, one thing I don't think I showed you. I think I posted a picture of it. I found the 2017 reprint Walmart exclusive of Hot Rod.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Let me see that.
The classic 80s style Transformer, but the 2017 remake. Let me just show you how easy
I was
it
going to
is
say, does it do the thing? Does it transform?
It does the thing. I just got to remember how to do it. Because it's been a minute. Oh, feels so good.
Yeah, the breakout character from the iconic 80s movie Transformers, the movie. Let me not butcher it.
Exactly. The breakout star. that nobody asked for. Yeah, there he is. In all of his Rodimus glory.
Sick.
Good old Hot Rod.
And just in time for, was it Void Rivals or Transformers where he just showed up? I think might have been Void Rivals. It was Void Rivals. Yeah.
Oh shit! I forgot
up on that.
I am behind on Void Rivals.
Oh yeah, dude. He was in like
fuck.
I think it was issue 11 or 12.
Damn.
Yeah, him and I think the Skuxoid are teamed up or something.
Oh shit! I gotta catch up to Void Rivals because I love Hot Rod. It took me a long time to love Hot Rod because myself, me, and I imagine many other Transformers fans over the years absolutely despised Hot Rod because he was let's face it, he got Optimus killed. It was his fault,
and he got to become Prime, and I assume that didn't help.
That did not rub over well with a lot of fans because we grew up with Optimus Prime, and here is this young dipshit that got Optimus killed, and all of a sudden he's the new Prime. What the shit? But as I grew up, I'm like, you know what? Rodimus is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when he became Rodimus, he was better. And I'll honestly, like, I attribute a lot of the IDW comics to my newfound love of Hot Rod.
You feel like it fleshed out the character more?
Yeah. He became a lot more fun. He grew up. He got more interesting. So I got to check out Void Rivals now. I got to catch up to that.
Yeah, I got to remember. I'm pretty sure it was either issue 11 or issue 12. Yeah.
I was wondering if they were going to have any more Transformers appearances because for a while it was just kind of doing its own story, and I thought maybe it was just like it had its time crossing over and building the universe. Now it's going to build its own thing. But no, that's cool.
Well, it definitely seems to be tied into aspects of the Transformers mythos because for some reason. And maybe this is spoilers. Spoilers for anyone who's not caught up on Void Rivals, but the two races seem to have some kind of affinity for Energon, and apparently, like they use in one of the issues, they end up getting the formula for Energon or something like that for developing Energon. And bring it back to their people so they can heal some of the soldiers that were wounded in a battle against Derek and Salila. So they haven't totally unveiled everything, but my guess is there's some kind of connection between the Transformers and the two races in Void Rivals, and how they were developed or something like that. Because the whole premise is like they're totally against unification of the two races for some reason. And it seems like it may be because they have some kind of shared origin that might be tied to the Transformers. Who knows? But yeah, no,
I know
it's a cool series.
Last issue I was reading, I think that I don't remember what number it was because I just completely forgot the series existed. They were hinting at the fact that the two races were connected. I mean, they both have very similar features. They both have a gem on their forehead, just different colors, and there's even the two leaders were like brothers or something like that, right? They were they're brother-like. So yeah, that'd be interesting. I didn't know about the Energon stuff, so yeah, maybe there is some connection. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're like ancient, like because the whole thing with Cybertron is. There's two origins to Cybertron that I've heard of. The original one was Primus kind of fashioned it and built it himself, and started Cybertron and powered it and built the Cybertronians from scratch, basically, right? Alternatively, it was once a planet of life and beauty and
organic life, not
organic life and like people. So maybe I'm thinking that these two races might have been the original Cybertronians.
Yeah, it could be.
Primus took it over, right?
Yeah, because I assume for them to use and have Energon as some kind of way of healing or sustenance. Like they have to have some kind of connection to, the Transformers. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking maybe because they're always talking about like the Great Ring or whatever that has basically the two races on both sides, and maybe the Great Ring is itself some like giant transformer. Could be. I don't know.
Could be. If this is tied to Unicron, I'm gonna scream. Like shit, man. how much cooler can Philip?
You heard it here first, folks.
Danny Warren Johnson.
It's Unicron. Rob will scream.
Yeah. Also, Gordon Ab 2, thank you for following us on Twitch.
Hell yeah.
That says,
welcome to the family.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for following. And I believe there is one person watching us, so I hope it is you. If it's Brady, why haven't you said anything, Brady? Sorry, a friend of mine
has Josh. Yeah. I'm sure you're getting frustrated that we have not started talking about comics yet.
Yeah, and it's 6:00. You're not here to keep us on track.
Yeah. We can do whatever we want.
A friend of mine has been chiming in the past few weeks and
nice.
Making fun of me in the chat. And we've been having fights over the live stream.
Typical.
Right, so yeah, I think that's about it for me right now. I'll have news to share later on, personal news to share later on. I got nothing else right now. Do we want to talk about the solicits for December? Because they came out last Friday.
Or we can talk about, at the very least, because I spaced, I think because there were just so many new announcements coming out of the solicits that I forgot exactly how many there are.
Yeah,
so we can either go through some of the major stuff, or we can just go through the new series because there are like 5 or 6.
Yeah, we can, maybe the stuff we brought up in our own personal chat.
Yeah,
we could just talk about that stuff that we're all excited for. Oh, you're quiet now. Can't hear you. What happened? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. And he's gone, folks. Technical difficulties do happen. And he's back. 1 second. Hello? Still can't hear you. Did you mute yourself somehow? What the shit? And he's gone. Well, like I said, these things happen. So he comes back in a second. Just bear with us, folks. We always have some technical difficulties to canker out. Let's try again. Hello. No. I still hear nothing. What happened? Did you click a button? What is going on? You can hear me though, right? Can you hear me? I don't think you can hear me, folks. Well, I'll get into some of the stuff. We have some very interesting things coming, including a whole bunch of new number 1s. But I'll start off with some trades that I find very interesting coming out. We have, from the DC Finest line, we have Green Arrow, the Longbow Hunters from Mike Grell, and Teen Titans, the Judas Contract. Now, these both are long-time, multi-printed series, but being part of the DC Finest line, I just think it's a really good choice, and bringing that into the fold and bringing it over to new readers, I think is a wonderful choice. Hello, Brandon. Say something. Anything. You can't hear me, can you? Well, this is bloody weird. Okay, where was I? Right, so we got those two. Adding on to the DC Finest line, I think is a great idea. And yes, it's another reprint, but it's bringing these two classic stories to new readers, and just bringing it forward. And it's not the same stuff we're getting reprinted all the time. Like, how many versions of Batman? How should we have these two? I feel like they haven't been printed in a long time. We also have DC Compact Comics, which is a new initiative that I actually really like. I haven't been able to pick up any because all the ones that they printed I already have, but we have a couple that interest me. Static Season 1 and Superman Birthright are both the two that I will be picking up because I have never got those before. Well, Static Season 1 I've read some. Okay, we find out that Brandon's headphones conveniently chose the worst time to die, and now the audio is messed up. So he's going to reboot and be back with us in a minute. So we also have, and I don't have the title off the top of my head right now, but it is a World's Finest special featuring Green Lantern and Green Arrow, written by Jeremy Adams. It's a one-off issue, but my goodness, does that look good. The cover we've posted is by Dan Mora, and it looks amazing. It's basically Hard Traveling Heroes, written by Jeremy Adams. I am stoked, as are the rest of us. We have a Metamorpho series coming from none other than Marvel superstar Al Ewing. I don't think he's done anything in DC as of yet. I could be wrong. Brandon would know for sure, but as far as I know, Al Ewing has not done any DC. So this is his first DC book, and he's choosing Metamorpho. I don't remember if it's an ongoing or not. I don't believe it is. It might be a 6-issue, but it's still really freaking cool. I can't wait to see what Al Ewing has to do with Metamorpho. And we got a 12-issue Batman mystery from Dan Waters, which is also really cool. Hello, Brandon.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What would this show be without technical difficulties? And of
Right?
course, my head. Worst time to die, right
Classic
as we were about to start talking about the solicits. Right.
So I did talk about some. I talked about the trades that I shared, Superman Birthright
Sweet.
and Static Season 1, as well as Judas Contract and Longbow Hunters. And I also talked about GLGA World's Finest Special, Metamorpho, and Dan Waters' Batman.
Hell yeah.
But if you want to shed a little bit more light on those, such as, because I couldn't answer the question, if this is Al Ewing's first DC series, which I think it is.
It is, yeah.
It is, which is wild that he picks Metamorpho.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know he has the love for 60s and 70s and 80s comics. He's like an encyclopedia when it comes to that stuff for Marvel and DC, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no surprise that right out of the gate he wanted to do something that's kind of a throwback, but it'll be interesting to see his approach. I'm sure there's going to be some level of introspection knowing Al Ewing's history.
Oh God, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean you said it all, honestly. Metamorpho, Batman Dark Patterns, like you said, from Dan Waters and Hayden Sherman, gonna be basically just a bunch of classic detective mysteries, which everyone has been screaming for Batman.
Yep.
And
it's by Dan Waters.
And it's by Dan Waters. So yeah, I'm over the moon about that. Even in the face of yet another Batman book, but it's pretty hard to not.
Yeah, it's the Batman book we've been asking for the past 6 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. and it's by Dan Waters.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. I think there are only two others that maybe you didn't mention. The Superwoman special,
Right.
written by Joshua Williamson with art from Edwin Gallman, and it's basically just going to be a spin-off of the upcoming arc where Lois Lane is now Superwoman and she's powers. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I have to say, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's noticed it, but does the Superwoman costume from the covers and from all the preview art that we've seen kind of looks similar to the Superwoman costume that Lois had in All-Star Superman? I know she has the pants,
Yeah.
right? But like the little, I don't know what you call them, like the yellow orbs around her waist.
Yeah.
And the colors.
pseudo belts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks very similar to that costume. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit intentional, but
I mean, as of now, she's had like 3 Superwoman costumes from what I
Yeah.
remember, and that might be the best one.
definitely. Yeah, that one is pretty cool. And then one that I know I'm pretty excited for. I hope you're excited for it. And I hope everyone else is excited for it, at least just to have it as a series. I'll stop beating around the bush. Challengers of the Unknown #1 come in December 2024, which is awesome. More
Yeah.
challengers is a great thing. At the
Yeah.
very least, just so we can have more of a diverse catalog at DC. So this is coming from Christopher Cantwell, which before everyone who read Iron Man starts not listening anymore, chance.
I
With
get
art.
that. I get
Yeah.
that. I gave up on his Iron Man, as I think everybody did.
As did I, and as did Kirk, and as did so many other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Christopher Cantwell with art from Sean Isaacs, who just did Green Arrow, and his stuff is great. So I'm definitely excited, at the very least, to see what this creative team might be able to bring. And perhaps one of the coolest aspects, and this might actually be surprising coming from me, but this is a Challengers of the Unknown that is unapologetically tied into the DC universe.
Very much.
That some new members of the Challengers are none other than the Trinity, with their very own decked out purple Challenger uniforms, which look pretty cool to me.
They look really cool.
Now, before everyone gets on my ass about, me being like, oh, it's just another DC tie-in book when I was kind of against that for Doom Patrol. With Challengers, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I've always felt like they're a team that shouldn't be on the outside, but kind of always are.
Yeah.
Like the Challengers have so much potential to team up with other DC exploratory characters, and it feels like it's never been used properly. And I hope this is a chance for them to at least try that out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thing that the Challengers have just been an exploratory team that have dealt with pseudo cosmic threats, but none of them have really ever had powers to the grand scale of the Justice League or anything like that.
Yeah, they're usually just kind of separate and off in their own world.
So it's hard for them as adventurers and explorers, basically the Fantastic Four minus the Fantastic, to really hunker down with the rest of the heroes. So it's hard to really write a story where they are very connected and very feasible in a grand superhero story. So I completely get not having them connected to the larger DC universe for so long, but it is really cool to have them connected.
Yeah. I just want to see what that integration looks like, because I didn't even really think of any substantial interactions the Challengers, the classic lineup anyway, have had with any other DC heroes.
I mean, at some point they must have, because I don't remember if it was named that at the time, but the JLI, I think it was, had, or maybe it was the 70s Justice League that had Challengers Mountain.
Was it Challengers Mountain?
At least that's what they're calling it now. They had Challengers Mountain.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was some different mountain. But so many mountains in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Track. But yeah, no, I'm just excited for the potential of this series, and also it's just great to have a Challenger series.
Yeah.
Just keep doing more obscure teams, DC, and I'll be happy.
Yeah. Now we just need an Omega Men series written by Tom Taylor, and I'm sold.
Tom
No,
Taylor. Huh?
no, Al Ewing.
Oh, now that would be good.
Yeah, I loved his Guardians of the Galaxy. Get this man a contract for your Omega Men.
Yeah. Well, I'm on board for Omega Man. I can't say I felt the exact same about Guardians, but
that's okay. It's okay to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I thought there was one more, but I can't remember what it was.
New Gods.
Just going through it
by Tom King. That's coming
out. That might be it for all the new books, but if there's something that I missed,
New Gods.
Let me know. Oh yeah, well I don't know if we talked about that, but we got the full solicit at least, which is good.
Yeah,
but yeah, New Gods.
And the interior art. Did I share the interior art with you guys?
I don't know. I've seen some previews for it, but
yeah,
you shared
it. I saved an image, and I think I intended to share it, and I don't think I ever actually did.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other one. A new series actually that kind of surprised me. Of all the people that I would have expected to get an ongoing series, it would not have been Two-Face, but here we are, Two-Face #1, coming out December, by Christian Ward with art from Fabio Veras.
Hell yeah.
Apparently it's going to be Two-Face acting as an attorney, which actually should be interesting to see, considering the well, maybe not resolution, but the after effects of Detective Comics 1089, seeing where some of the other characters ended up. So maybe this is going to kind of follow up on that.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, so I just shared in the comics chat the interior art I saw. It's supposed to be a joined image.
Yeah.
But when it was first posted, it was posted as two different images. Somebody in the comments section on the post had spliced them together, and I thought I'd saved it, but now I can't find it. So, but the pencils are bloody amazing.
Oh yeah, no, Evan Cagle is just a cut above.
Yeah. Actually, no, I did see one other thing. An announcement that happened just a couple of days ago.
Oh.
Yeah. IDW and DC Comics have announced yet another crossover for the Justice League. Did you hear about this? Did you read it?
I heard about it, but I completely forgotten.
It was funny for me because earlier that day I had seen a bit of what was apparently the trailer, and I just saw it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool little like fan edit, but I don't need to watch the whole thing, and I just closed it until I see the article. I'm like, oh my god, that was real. This is the Justice League crossing over with Sonic the Hedgehog and characters. So iconic characters like Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles will actually take on roles from the Justice League, including Flash and Batman, according to the article on Bleeding Cool. And apart from a little mini-series, there will also be merchandise, such as toys and clothing, among many other things. And the team lineup that we have so far, we have Shadow the Hedgehog as Batman, Sonic the Hedgehog as the Flash, of course, Knuckles the Echidna as Superman, Amy Rose as Wonder Woman, Tails as Cyborg, which I think is really cool, and finishing off the list, which I don't know much about this character, but I think it's really cool, Silver the Hedgehog as Green Lantern, which I think Silver is kind of like a cosmic hedgehog in a way, so like
basically, yeah,
I get that in a way. There's ideas and rumors that there's going to be a short cartoon as well, because the Sonic Central YouTube channel is the one that posted the basically trailer announcing it, and it was Shadow dressed as Batman in Gotham City taking on a criminal. and it was all animated. So it kind of looks like it might happen, but we'll have to see. But there's all sorts of stuff going to be coming out.
Yeah.
With it, like there's going to be toys. There's going to be obviously comic and potentially cartoon and clothing and all sorts of stuff. So it's going to be a huge initiative, and quite honestly, it is a pretty big initiative to cross over these two in such a manner.
Very interesting choice for a collaboration. Yeah, I thought I'd seen it all when they announced the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto crossover, but
yeah, when does that come out? Was that November?
I think so. Yeah, November or December.
Yeah. So I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah.
I got Naruto and TMNT. We got Sonic the Hedgehog and Justice League.
Oh man.
What's the next crossover? What do you think is the next fucking wild ass crossover?
It's gotta be Transformers and something.
I was gonna say that too, but Transformers is also pretty busy with its own thing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're doing all the Energon stuff just because Skybound has the Hasbro license, but
yeah,
I'm sure it's only a matter of time before they find a way to cross that over with some other company just to keep the momentum going.
Yeah. Hey, Power Rangers is just finishing off another crossover with Godzilla.
Yeah. Power Rangers has done a ton of crossovers.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Well, Ninja Turtle is going to be with Naruto, so it's got to be separate from them. I'm going to say something in Spawn. I don't know if Todd McFarlane will do anything with Spawn. Oh, he's done Batman Spawn.
Yeah, I think that was the extent of it. I think that was the best they could do for now.
Yeah. Power Rangers Avengers.
I would be surprised at. I don't know if you've been keeping up with it. I kind of haven't lately, but I would not be surprised to see Radiant Black crossover with something.
With Power Rangers, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get the Mighty Morphin team going up against the Radiant team. I still need to fucking read that.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, the first 25 issues are great. I don't know what issue they're on now. I haven't really kept up, but
fair enough.
But yeah, no, I'm surprised they haven't done. Excuse me. Any other? I mean, they've done inter-series crossovers because they have the whole Radiant verse. But yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done crossovers with any other properties.
Yeah. I imagine it's gonna come eventually.
Yeah, it's only
my Sentai consuming has kind of been put on hold because I've been consuming all sorts of mech stuff.
Yeah.
So that's been my go-to recently. Yeah. I'll get on Radiant.
Yeah. No, I definitely think you will. I don't know how much you read or if you haven't read it all, but yeah, I think you'll definitely continue to enjoy it or just enjoy it.
I think I still have the first volume around here somewhere. I think my dad got Radiant Black Volume 1, so it'll be easy to jump into it.
Oh, yeah. No, and it's again, doesn't require any kind of background material. It's somewhat set in the quote-unquote Image universe, but that's more of here's some characters that the founders, the Image partners own. We'll let them cross over with Radiant, just as a fun thing to do. But it's not like you need to have read a bunch of Savage Dragon or something, in order to understand it. So hop right in. First volume is great, and just enjoy.
Right on. So you heard it here first, folks. Well, probably not here first because Radiant's roots have been around for a long time.
Yeah, 3-4 years at this point, which is crazy.
Yeah. All right. So with that, let's get into honorable mentions, and then we'll take a quick commercial break. Which, Josh, Give us the honorable mentions. All right, so how many have you read? Because I haven't
Oh
read
boy.
any of the honorable mentions. Yeah,
Let me
I can run them down. We got the Lobo cancellation special #1.
Yes, which I did
Power.
read.
Right on.
Yeah, I did read that. I don't even know what to say. I feel like I need Josh to make a better like tee up for this, but
Yeah.
no, it's great. Lobo, got my copy here. Lobo cancellation special. It's got art from Kyle Hotz, who's very underrated, and brings the perfect amount of grimy grittiness to this book. I mean, you can just look at the preview pages. It's exactly what you would expect Lobo to be. And honestly, it's just a lot of Lobo shenanigans taking place at some point between his debut and like as recently as House of Brainiac. So it's fun. Definitely worth checking out. Kyle Starks and Kyle Hotz do a great job.
Right on. And we have Power Girl #13.
Yes.
Absolute Power Origins #3.
Mm.
Batman the Brave and the Bold #17. Batman the Long Halloween, the Last Halloween.
That's a mouthful.
Is that #1, I believe, or is that #2?
#1. Yep.
#1. Okay. Then for some reason the number didn't show up when I copy and pasted.
Oh, that's weird.
And Zatanna Bring Down the House #4.
Yes. And have you read any of these?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well,
I just barely got through the books we need to cover.
I can cover a few of them. Batman, Long Halloween, The Last Halloween. Again, weird mouthful.
Yeah.
Solid return to the Long Halloween continuity, but I think me and other people have kind of noted that it feels eerie not having Tim Sale around. Eduardo Riso does a great job, and his rendering of, I mean, Batman always looks great, but even Robin and Catwoman, all that stuff, like it's good. It feels like something is missing. But it's nice to return to the universe, and it's got a cool mystery of what happened to James Jr. And Zatanna Bring Down the House continues to be one of the best Black Label books put out. I said it. Hellblazer, I'm sure, is very good, but Zatanna Bring Down the House has some of the best art and honestly one of the coolest, tightest character stories I've read from a Black Label series in a minute. So this one is definitely worth checking out. At the very least, just to continue to get more Zatanna stuff, because honestly, I love Zatanna and I wish they would do more series with her. So this is a nice snack, but I would like the full meal. And by full meal, I mean ongoing series.
Right.
And then the others I haven't gotten a chance to read.
Fair enough. Well, that is our honorable mentions, quite the list, and we have an even bigger list to give you full reviews for. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Hell yeah.
And we're back.
We're back.
We are back. It was a very quick commercial break.
It's a quick commercial.
Yeah, that's really just for the podcast. All right, so ready to dive right in?
I'm ready. Got my swim
All right,
trunks on. I got my goggles.
Oh yeah,
I'm ready to go.
We're gonna kick things off with a little book I'd like to call Absolute Power Task Force 7 #7.
Oh, is that what you call it?
That's what I call it.
I thought it was called. Damn it! I was trying to find a witty superhero team name that would have worked for this lineup. I couldn't come up with anything.
Maybe the Global Guardians.
Maybe the Global Guardians.
Maybe the Global Guardians, see, as they are pretty much front and center in this issue.
Pretty much.
And coincidentally, this issue is titled Global Guardian, written by Dan Waters, with art from Fran Gallan, letters from Dave Sharp, and the cover from Pete Woods. Josh is the one that usually puts the cover on screen, so unfortunately I cannot show it to you, but it does show some characters that are not actually in the issue. So
As was Mirror Master even in this issue?
the Mirror World was mentioned, but I didn't see Mirror Master at all. I also did not see King and Kong.
No.
But
Freedom Beast. So
yeah, we got Freedom Beast. And we had surprisingly Ghostmaker. I did not expect that. Yeah. But I can run down this issue pretty easily. The last of the Amazos, which has the powers of Martian Manhunter, is taking on basically the last holdouts of superhero. I was going to say superheroics. Superheroes and metahumans across the world with the Global Guardians, Great 10, etc., etc. And they're basically the last holdout for the world. So this Amazo's the last one to fulfill its missions, and he's got a lot of characters to go up against to basically succeed, including Wild Huntsman, Little Mermaid, Night Runner. Got Tasmanian Devil, Jack-o'-lantern, Freedom Beast, Jet, which I know I've heard of, but I want to look up the history of that character. Was she part of the New Guardians? Do you remember?
I think so. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like seeing her on some cover from the 80s, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, so it's just the blurb about her says she was handpicked by the Guardians of the Universe. Like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. But Jack-o'-lantern, wow, yeah, what a throwback to the Ultramarine Corps from, what was that? JLA Classified, the one story arc that Grant Morrison did for JLA Classified with the Ultramarine Corps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Definitely a throwback. That's the last time I can remember seeing Jack-o'-lantern in anything.
Yeah. Well, this is the new Global Guardians hiding out in the Mirror World. Apparently, and I don't know if there's been a story that has been told somewhere that we haven't seen, but the Global Guardians have been kind of disarrayed recently and splintered into the government-sanctioned Global Guardians and the new Global Guardians who want to act with freedom, as well as various other heroes who want to do their own thing. But basically, the new Global Guardians come out from hiding in the Mirror World, where they go to attack this new Amazo. This Amazo's getting the upper hand, though, but then he's attacked by Thunderlord, another hero out of nowhere from Taiwan. But Thunderlord is able to damage this Amazo, take out his arm, and then he seems to have a system malfunction and falls into a nearby river, which leaves the Global Guardians and the new Global Guardians to have a little tete-a-tete, if you will, which leads to them having a bit of a squabble over whose authority is really going on right now. But then they are boom-tubed all the way to a satellite where Red Star, remember fucking Red Star?
I remember Red Star.
Was Teen Titans his first appearance, or was he around before that?
No, yeah, it was Teen Titans something in the
number
60s.
Like 38. Oh, in the 60s.
No. Yeah, in the 60s. He
was
originally the first Starfire, but then later had that name changed when there was another Starfire character in the 70s, the Sword and Sorcery one. And then the official Starfire came in 1980 or whatever it was. And then Red Star. Starfire then became Red Star and has remained so since New Teen Titans number, I think that's issue 16. Damn. A little history for you.
That's quite the history, because my introduction to Red Star was just a random issue of Teen Titans from the late 2000s.
Yeah.
The mid 2000s. I don't even remember who wrote that, but I'm pretty sure it was like issue 36 or 38 or something like that. So I remember the cover so clearly.
Yeah, probably would have been Jeff Johns, and I think I know the
Yeah.
cover you're talking about. It's,
Yeah, it was like in Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a pretty cool cover, I thought.
Yeah.
Right, so that Red Star, he's here on this satellite where he has pulled all the global guardians all together to basically discuss what's going on and how Amanda Waller has taken over the entire planet, and they are the last remainders of the hero community, and they got to band together and stop their petty squabbling and fight this. Conveniently, also on the satellite, along with Red Star, is Ghostmaker, who then turns to Night Runner and tries to get him on his side because they were together in Batman Inc. Smart move on Ghost Runner's part, I will say. But then a being by the name of Tuatara from New Zealand with precognitive abilities was inside some kind of, I'll call it a back to think. Comes out and says it's too late. This Amazo is here. This Amazo was able to heal itself because he does have Martian Manhunter's abilities, and flies through space to the satellite, breaks open the wall, sending most of the heroes careening towards this open hole in the satellite, leaving this Martian Manhunter Amazo to absorb all their powers. And that gets him the win, except he doesn't really seem to want to capture everybody. Instead, he likes the chase, and like all the other Amazos, he wants to study them. Waller leaves off her little speech by saying, I think I should call him the Global Guardian now. Which I thought was kind of odd, seeing as Amanda Waller didn't really name any of the others. They kind of gave themselves names, but that was a little interesting touch. And then the little epilogue here on Gamora. The siege to free the heroes has begun. Steve Trevor is currently under fire, though, and he he gets on comms to Wonder Woman to tell her about how Waller built a machine to build an army, a portal through the multiverse, and how capturing the heroes on Earth isn't enough for her. Amanda Waller finishes off the issue, how she reveals her plan that an entire multiverse must be brought under the thumb of Amanda Waller. And then she says, checkmate, which I don't know if that's just chess reference or Super Spy reference, but I want to believe it's a Super Spy reference. Yeah, could be both. That is the end of the issue and the end of the series, and that is to be concluded in Absolute Power number 4 coming in October.
Yep.
Which at this point I can't fucking wait for.
Yeah, we're at the end of it.
Yeah. I gotta say, I wasn't stoked about this little event, but it was a little more interesting than I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, it's had some nice moments, and I'm still playing catch up. A lot of this stuff I, didn't get to read until last weekend, basically.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, it's been nice actually getting all caught up on all the stuff that's been going on and some of the cooler moments from Absolute Power. And honestly, this series, I mean, again, as far as tie-ins go, I generally, try and avoid them unless it's something really interesting or, unless it's for the show. But yeah, as far as tie-ins go, I mean, this series, Task Force 7, has had some of the more interesting moments.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I didn't think it
would. Yeah.
I figured if there was ever going to be a series to get some actual info and some story to tie in with the ongoing, it was probably this.
Yeah.
As for this issue, though, the only problem I had with this series is that having each issue and each Amazo be from a different writer, it means the whole concept of the different Amazos were wildly different. Yeah. And every issue was kind of its own character, which was nice. But the whole thing is they're supposed to, like, on some aspects, they're taking on the personality of the big hero that they took abilities from. On another, they're just a mindless machine trying to fulfill their task. On another, they have the personality of a Zuranar from the multiverse
Yeah.
that basically gave them life. Um, and there's no clear-cut explanations to which is what's and what's happening. And depending on the writer, you could get any number of the three. And it's kind of confusing and kind of annoying. And I wish there was a little bit more of a streamlined process when they were doing this crossover and building this. They said they wish they'd said to the writers that were going to write these Amazos, like, this is what we're looking for. Work with this for these Amazos. Write the story
and specifically define which personalities are going to be with which Amazo.
Yeah, which would be ideal. Because this Amazo, while tricky and crafty, didn't seem to have any personality whatsoever.
No.
Which was kind of a letdown, because I was looking forward to seeing what the hell Martian Manager had to do with this.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned to Josh, I think it was last week or the week before, Martian Manager was talked about as like being a part of this series, and as of yet, he's not appeared.
Yeah, no,
I think he appeared once, might have been in the last issue of Wonder Woman, or the last issue of Amazing or Absolute Power, but it was just in the background when they were doing the jailbreak. That was it. He didn't even have a fucking speaking line.
Yeah.
Right? So it seems kind of a letdown, because you build up all these other Justice Leaguers and you say, yeah, Jean's going to be part of this too. It's like, oh, that's interesting. That's cool. Let's see what he's got to do. And he's not even featured.
Yeah.
Like, an Amazo took his powers and he's supposed to be a big part of it. And even that was kind of a letdown. Like, whatever.
Yeah, it feels like maybe they had an idea for bigger plans with John, but I didn't go through with it, or it got changed or something. But yeah, it does feel weird that, you know, he was one of the people who had his powers stolen by a central Amazo, and they didn't really do anything with it aside from just have the Amazo use his intangibility powers.
Yeah, it was kind of a letdown for sure. Yeah. Besides that, though, the actual story here, which really was about the Global Guardians, was pretty cool. I liked it. The only thing I didn't like was I felt a little lost, because it definitely was like halfway through an ongoing story, which I don't think existed before this, which is kind of annoying. But it got me interested, because we read so many stories about the American heroes, and obviously so there's thousands, if not, well, it's hundreds, if not thousands, of heroes in just America. But they largely ignore the heroes in other parts of the world. Excuse me. And the Global Guardians, I think, would be a fantastic little series. If this is Dan Waters trying to get a backdoor into a 6-issue mini coming in January,
I'm down for that.
I'm down for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of annoying that this felt like it was halfway through a story.
Yeah.
And you get a little puzzled, especially since you might not even know half the characters that are in the goddamn book.
I mean, I feel like they did a good job with just the little captions of basically saying, like, oh, this is this character, you know, Night Runner, he's a Batman of France, he can do this, or, you know, this is Freedom Beast, he's possesses this, right, a successor to, you know, the former Bwana Beast or whatever. So they could at least give you the names and like a brief blurb of what they can do, and, you know, maybe what an aspect of their backstory is. But I definitely hear you in the sense that, like, there's all this other stuff, all this other context that feels like you should know it, right? But you don't, because a series with these characters does not exist. So you're basically being thrown into the middle of a context that previously has never happened. So, yeah, I mean, if this is an attempt to maybe be like, well, you know, if you're wondering what the backstory is for this new iteration of the Global Guardians, check it out in this upcoming series, but in all likelihood that's not going to happen. So it's a little weird, but I don't know. I enjoyed at least seeing the perspective, because we got like a brief glimpse of the fact that international heroes are still kind of stepping up, even amidst like the disinformation campaign that's going on in Absolute Power. So it's nice to see that explored more here. Well, not so much that aspect, but the idea that international heroes have not stopped in the wake of, the Amazos taking away the powers of most of the heroes in North America. So that aspect is cool, and seeing them all together is cool, even when they're fighting and there's dysfunction. But yeah, I definitely agree that if they wanted to do this and just kind of throw the reader right into the middle of it, there should have been some kind of place to go to where you could get more context for these characters and how they formed for this team, rather than just throwing us in the middle of it. So yeah. But the art is great. I love Fran Galen. First saw his stuff on Lucky Devil series with Cullen Bunn, and I've always been like, yeah, I love when he pops up and does like an issue here or an arc there. So more from Fran Galen. He's great.
Right on. This issue, though, I will give a 7. As much as I enjoyed it, some of the stuff that was kind of omitted or left behind really stuck out for me. So I can't give it too high of a score, but it was a really good issue still. So I'm still going to score it at least a 7.
Nice. Yeah, no, this one got a 7.5 for me, so about the same. I dug seeing the characters again.
Yeah.
And I liked the concept of, a new Global Guardians team being the last resistance, basically, with powers against the Amazos. So, yeah, no, that to me was cool, and I could totally see if DC was ambitious, them spinning it out into something else. But in all likelihood, that's not going to happen. So, this is the best you get. I'll take it. So yeah, cool stuff.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll fire it on over to Arrow.
Another corner of the absolute power story with Green Arrow number 15, which I will fill us in on as soon as I finish my sip of water. Green Arrow number 15, written, of course, by Joshua Williamson, with art from Aman K. Nahuelpan and Sean Isaacs, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters from Troy Pateri, and another great cover from Phil Hester, Andy Parks, and Ryan Cody. And this issue picks up exactly where our cliffhanger ended, with Ollie coming to the rescue of the Arrow family, who have now been ambushed by members of Amanda Waller's task force and Bright, and just in time to stop Bright from killing either Leanne or Cheshire. But Bright fires back with a flash pulse or something like that blinds most of the other members of the Arrow family. But Ollie, being prepared, knowing that he would have to fight Bright, brought shades, so he's basically fighting blind. And of course, Bright is like, what can you do fighting blind? You're useless. But little does he know that not only is Ollie prepared to fight blind, but Connor is prepared to fight blind, considering he is one of the best martial artists and fighters in the DC universe. So they go to work against Bright, and Bright finally reveals his grand backstory, in that he is actually from Earth 3. We've gotten hints that he's not from this universe, and has mentioned his Earth and is from the multiverse and that sort of thing. And now we get the backstory that he was a member of the Insiders, and was actually a character called the White Lantern on his Earth. But during the event known as Brightest Day, his ring was stolen and he was left for dead until he was resurrected by Amanda Waller and put to work for a new purpose. And that purpose is killing the crap out of Green Arrow and his family. But thankfully, Ollie and Connor are able to get the upper hand on Bright and send him careening over the other end. Ollie seems pretty convinced that Bright is going to survive, even though that looks like a big-ass drop. But they're able to make it back to the Hall of Order, where the Arrow family is prepared to read Ollie his rights for basically being a huge Judas and going to work for Amanda Waller. But before they can get any kind of answers as to why Ollie is doing this and why he's betrayed the superhero community, Ollie, being the turncoat that he is, literally turns his family in to the task force. And has all of them super pissed at him, but Ollie feels that what he's doing is right, and basically just leaves them out to dry. While he goes back to Amanda Waller and brings in Ivo as well. Although I guess has a change of heart at the end and decides to just let Ivo go free. Um, Ollie is looking at the mysterious weapon from the end of Justice League No Justice before he gets a surprise visitor, none other than Black Canary, using the Shadow Ways to get into the Hall of Order and try and talk some sense into Ollie and figure out why the hell he's doing this. But Ollie, as usual, says he has his reasons and is pushing everyone away, even though he literally just had a story arc where he said he wasn't going to do that anymore. So much for character progression. But no. Dinah is basically like, I hope that when we finally reunite on the other side of whatever this is, when the superheroes have their big showdown on Gamora, we'll finally be on the same side again. And they share one last I love you before Ollie turns back to work for Amanda Waller. And reveals that there's some kind of deal that they have forged in secret that he wants to talk about a little bit more. But before he can get the chance to do that, they have to turn their attentions towards Gamora, where all the superheroes are going to converge in one big epic final throwdown. And that's the end of our issue. So good stuff as usual. This seems to be the wrap on the Absolute Power arc for Green Arrow. So I'm glad that's finally done. I'm ready to move on to the next stuff that's going on with Ollie. Although there's still one more issue after this, the final issue of Williamson's run that'll kind of tie up all the loose ends from this run. But this was a solid issue, I thought. Nothing spectacular. Again, it's always great to see the Arrow family doing stuff. And I'm glad they were able to have their brief little fight with Bright, but kind of felt like it was cut a little short before they made it back to the Hall of Order and then got turned in. It was solid, but nothing outstanding. Really just kind of felt like okay, we're done with this arc. We got Ivo. We've got all the Arrow family under lock and key now. Ollie has his deal, and he's got his final confrontation with Dinah. Now we're going to move on to the next thing. Other than that, not too much else to say. The art from Nahuelpan and Isaacs is great, as usual. Really great looking panel of Ollie and Connor right as they're about to fight Bright, kind of back to back with their fists raised. That honestly might be my pick of the week. Spoilers. Really great art as usual. And solid issue, but nothing outstanding. So gave this one an 8 out of 10.
Hell yeah. I pretty much agree with everything you said. The fight with Bright was really cool, and Ollie doing what he needs to do to protect his family, despite jeopardizing whatever this is he has going on. Epic. That little discussion with Dinah was painful to read, but just emotionally. But honestly, I get Waller had some dirt on him, or we don't really know the whole story yet about why he had to do what he was doing with Waller, I guess. Not that I remember anyway. But like you said, they had that whole opening arc about him not leaving his family behind and sticking around, and then all of a sudden he's doing exactly that. it's I can hear Josh already.
He's pissed.
Yeah. This might be the weakest issue of the run for me. I was hoping there was more to Bright besides just Earth 3 shenanigans. I figured it would have been an evil version of somebody, but it would have been cool if it was an evil version of somebody we heard of.
Or even just maybe a hero that had been corrupted on another, or a hero that had been corrupted and then got thrown on another Earth or something. I guess I was expecting more of some kind of mystery rather than just he's another Earth 3 doppelganger.
Yeah, there's been a lot of those recently. Yeah, it's like the easy way out. We got a mysterious bad guy. Oh, he's from Earth 3. Why? Why is he from Earth? Why is he doing this? Stay on your Earth. Fool. Shit. Art fantastic. Story was interesting. Downside was that loophole, or that plot hole, I guess. Um, I'll also give it an 8. I think that's fair.
Sweet.
All right. Now, before we get cold, frosty, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's Harley Quinn, number 43, titled "It's Almost Over," and yes, it is almost over. So this is Teenie Howard's last issue, as she was doing the writing on this with art and colors on pages 3 to 12 and 17 to 22 from Sweeney Boo, and art and colors on pages 1 to 2 and 13 to 16 from Natasha Bustos, and letters from Steve Wands with the cover from Sweeney Boo. Kind of interesting cover. Playtime's over. You also get one more final Dream World, Harley the Barbarian, the return of Harley the Barbarian. So we open on Harley having a bit of a nightmare. She's on trial for something, but it is a dream. So all the enemies and friends she has made over her adventures with Teenie Howard writing have arrived and are booing her. She doesn't even have pants on, and the judge has a squeaky rubber duck for a hammer. But it's a dream. So then she kind of snaps out of it, and she's in the midst of fighting Mr. Freeze. But instead of actually fighting him, after Robin was frozen solid, she's doing what she can to talk Robin out of being frozen solid and try to bust out of there to help her, but at the same time talk Freeze down using her superpower of a psychology degree to basically talk some sense into him. And it does kind of work to a certain sense. He does pause and thinks about Nora, but this is just, to a certain degree as well, biding her time as the castle or sky. It's the ice scraper. That's what the ice scraper is beginning to melt and crumble. Robin, by this point, was able to break out of the ice, so he and Harley get out of their toot suites as the ice scraper begins to fall to pieces around them. They land safely on a nearby rooftop, give a nice little hug to each other, and a quick goodbye. Robin realizing that Harley, while she's not necessarily a good guy, she's not really a bad guy either. She's a person just trying to do her best. And he sees Harley in a different light now, and even as he leaves, reminds her to ask him about that double date later. So there's potential. Harley then escapes and heads back home to Ivy, where they embrace, and Harley apologizes profusely. Ivy thinks it's because she's gone missing or because of all the things she's doing, but Ivy says, or Harley kind of says, I'm not sorry for what you think. It's for what I have to do. She then goes undercover, pretending to be Officer Donna Pulaski, to visit none other than Pulaski's daughter in prison, the same daughter who became enamored and obsessed with Harley Quinn in her youth, which eventually led her to the life of crime, which landed her in prison. And after just having a brief chat with the young Pulaski daughter, finds out that Donna is not the grade A mom she believes she is. And the whole reason that her daughter did all this is because Donna just wouldn't give her the attention she craved. Single mom, only child, and all the young girl wanted was to spend some time with her mama, but all the mama wanted to do was be tied to her work, solve cases, stop crime, and catch bad guys. She had no time to be a mom. So that left the daughter kind of lonely and out of sorts, and figured the only way she was either going to get her mom's attention or get her mom out of her life was to commit crimes. And that's exactly what she did, and that's exactly what she got. She got her mom's attention and her mom out of her life all in one fell swoop. Harley, meanwhile, and now has to go on trial for the crime she has committed. against basically all sorts of people, but does bring a surprise witness, much against like every policy of the courts and even against her own counsel's wishes. But she brings in Officer Donna Pulaski's daughter anyway as a surprise witness, um, answering all sorts of questions and even showing the judge and jury that Donna is not the officer she's cracked up to be anyway. And all the stuff she's even saying about Harley and herself, excuse me, not true. Harley might be a bit better than you think. Donna storms out of there when she sees her daughter and what her daughter is saying, and Harley storms out after her and gives her a nice little talking to, all therapist style. Harley then goes back in and awaits the verdict after giving her own final statements. And she is free to go. All charges dismissed, as well as for Maxie Zeus, thanks to some words from Harley Quinn as well. So now Harley and Ivy go outside the courtroom and celebrate, as well as Bella is Donna Pulaski's daughter's name. Bella Pulaski has to go back to jail for a little bit, but she knows in just a few more months her time will be served. And when she gets out, she's inspired now to study psychology. So everybody now has a bright future, and Harley and Ivy figured they might just go on a little road trip, but not before egging Officer Pulaski's car. And that is the end of the issue and the end of T.D. Howard's run. Not without a little brief return to Harley the Barbarian, but as much as the art is fantastic, it really fucking is incredible art. I'm even trying to find the creative team. Yeah, this is written by Alexis Quazzarano, with art from Riccardo Frederici and colors from Eric Prianto and letters from Hassan Asmane El Hau. I have not gone into the Dream backups pretty much the whole time I've been covering this book with T.D. Howard. And today will be no different, but definitely check it out if you enjoy these little backups. They're fun little stories, sometimes full of action adventures, sometimes just fun little like brief messages and stories. But the art is worth it just to look at, even if you don't want to read it and you don't care about Harley the Barbarian. Just look at the art on the page. It is bloody fantastic.
Hell yeah.
All right, so that is Harley Quinn, number 42.
End of an era.
Yeah. Well, 43. There will be more Harley Quinn with a new creative team next month. It's not done yet. Yeah. Interesting little issue. Felt a bit rushed as an ending, but at the same time, I don't even know. I wasn't sold on the ending. I don't know. I don't know how many different ways it could have ended. I can't really think of maybe a better one. I just don't think I liked it.
Yeah.
I was kind of confused about why Harley was even on trial in the first place. I still don't think I fully understand. Yeah, she committed some crimes, and Officer Donna Pulaski was after her for a while. But Donna had a vendetta, and it wasn't even necessarily about Harley committing actual crimes. And yeah, she did commit crimes with other criminals, but did she commit the crimes, or was she just there? You know?
Maybe she was just there. I don't know.
That's the thing. She was trying to run psychology. I just feel like the beginning of the story arc had such interesting promise, and then it quickly fell apart because of a B plot that was shoehorned in with Officer Pulaski.
Yeah.
And it just kind of took away from the plot that could have been. So I think that is a shame. I was really interested in Harley being a villain and a psychiatrist at the same time. I thought that was really cool. I'll give the issue a 7.5, though. As a finale goes, it's an interesting wrap-up. I just thought it'd be bigger for Teenie Howard to wrap up her run, but I'll take what I get. 7.5.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. I mean, it has the kind of, I don't want to say schmaltzy, but you know, like the heartfelt ending where Donna, that was her name, right? Is, you know,
the officer.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's nice. But yeah, I don't know. It did. I also kind of feel like I had totally forgotten a good chunk of what had happened in like the last 2 or 3 issues. So I'd kind of forgotten about some of these plot threads. So it's hard for me to feel a sense of finality when I couldn't really remember everything that was going on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it reads fine, but I don't know. It just feels like the book had kind of gotten off the rails at certain points, or maybe it just got off the rails for me to the point where I couldn't really remember or follow all the plots. And so this issue is kind of like, yeah, it wraps it up, but not in a way that's really going to stick with me. So 7 out of 10. Art is great, though. Consistently.
Definitely. I don't even have a fucking
Segue.
If you do go for it, I got nothing.
I don't know. Something about evil, one evil to another evil. Yeah, I don't
If
know.
Harley suggests
What do you need Josh for?
if that's her, it's something about a crown, wings, whatever. It's Titans number 15, brought to us by Brandon Chandler.
Quinn kind of sounds like Queen, and
Yeah.
we're Dark Winged Queen is in this issue.
Robin was in the Titans. I don't know.
I give up. All right.
Yeah.
This is Titan number 15, written by Chandler, with art by Lucas Meyer and colors from Adriano Lucas, letters from Wes Abbott, and a cover from Lucas Meyer and Marcelo Maiolo. And speaking of endings, this is also the end of Tom Taylor's time on Nightwing. So we have a lot of endings this week and this month, really. So not only is this the end of the Dark Winged Queen arc, this is also the end of his run on Titans. So let's get into it. As we left off in the last issue, Raven had finally become the giant-sized Dark Winged Queen and had summoned Trigon from hell to basically help her overthrow the Earth and then eventually the universe. And Nightwing had to call all the heroes. And now all the heroes have showed up and they did their best, but unfortunately they just weren't good enough. Because even though they're the world's greatest heroes, they kind of were useless against Trigon. So who's left to save the day? Well, it's none other than the class clown Beast Boy, who decides to take an audible, pull an audible, and go after Raven himself, like by himself, and just try and talk some sense into her, which he does, but not before telling Tempest to wait to strike at a gem on her head at a very specific time. They would know when the signal was. So Gar goes up to Raven and is kind of joking around and all this stuff. And of course, the Dark Raven is very confused, seeing as how it seems like Gar still believes that somewhere deep down Raven is still there. And she's like, what are you talking about? And at that moment, Tempest decides to strike one of the gems, and in doing so, frees the good Raven persona to now face off against the bad Raven persona. But before she can strike, Gar comes between the two of them in a moment of confusion where both of them are like, what are you doing? We're about to throw down. And Gar is like, no, we need to sit down and talk and figure this out. And that's when we have a very interesting conversation in that Gar facilitates between the good Raven and the bad Raven, basically saying, you have been fighting, I can't believe I say this, you've been fighting your demons for years, but maybe your demons are you, and maybe what you've been afraid to face all this year is just who you are. Rather than try and fight it off and cast it away, accept it and try and come to peace with it. The good Raven sees the positive truth in that, and while the rest of the Titans are trying to fend off Trigon, they basically decide that it is in their best interest to accept that they are one and the same, the good and the bad Raven, and merge into not a dark winged queen, but a one singular Raven, flaws and all, with a tricked out, updated version of her classic suit.
God, it looks so good.
It was like, oh, this is awesome, and not even just the classic suit from the '80s, but the white suit from the '80s when, well, Raven had cast out, admittedly, her demonic self, and then was reborn as the spiritual Raven. But this is still really cool, and she also retains her size, and in doing so, is able to basically handle Trigon and reject him all on her own. With a little bit of help from the Titans, naturally, and is able to basically blast Trigon in the face, using the power of or united personas and the Titans to completely shut it down. And also, Trigon starts bleeding, which is a clear indication of the fact that he can be harmed. And if you remember anything from Jonathan Hickman's Infinity, if they can bleed, they can be beaten, which is a line from Thor, I think. So, yeah, basically, now that they know Trigon can be wounded, they're able to use that to basically stab him, which won't kill him, just basically make him fade away and probably have him return to hell. But at the very least, they have the victory over this day. The Titans check in on Raven, really just Starfire, to see if she's like okay now, if she's good, if she's not still evil. But Raven is like, now I'm whole, and I feel like I've come to terms with who I am. But now it's time to turn our attention to someone else, and that is when the Titans show up at the location of none other than Amanda Waller. Basically say, we know all about your plans and your deal with Trigon, and we're here to tell you that whatever plans you have and whatever planet you think you own, you're wrong, because this planet is protected by the Titans, and so shall it remain, hopefully forever. And that is the end of this arc. Wow. Honestly, I give Tom Taylor a lot of shit. Sometimes I think it's warranted. And maybe I'm in the minority, but I really like this ending. I thought it was the perfect way to resolve the Dark Raven and Good Raven plot thread, in that, because most of the storylines that we had in the past that have used the kind of demonic side of Raven has usually been Raven casts it out only to find that there's a seed of it that's still in her, and then she has to deal with it again, and yada yada yada, and like it is never really dealt with in a way that isn't just Raven casts it out and tries to get rid of it. But this is like, no, you have to accept your flaws, accept your demonic side, come to terms with it, have peace with that, and then just become something new. And that's what she did. Now, I'm sorely disappointed that she didn't get to keep that pimp white costume. Honestly, if that was Raven's costume moving forward, I would have been so stoked, but it doesn't seem like it. But no, other than that, I mean, really my only gripe with this issue is it felt kind of short. And I honestly wouldn't have minded like a double-sized issue to really kind of flesh out the fight a little bit more and maybe have a nice epilogue after they, give Amanda Waller the business. But yeah, no, aside from that, I came away from this issue feeling really pleased with how everything had ended. And I know that it feels like Tom Taylor's run was cut short, but if this was kind of his grand plan, it feels like he executed it mostly well. So I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. I was very satisfied with it.
Right on. Yeah, I was also hoping for the white costume to stick around. I was a little disappointed when I turned the page. She was back in the blue, but at least like the dark hood stuck around.
Yeah.
So at least we got something. That was a cool little touch. Oh shit! I just hit the microphone. Yeah, Tom Taylor leaving at issue 15. That's a solid run. I think that's a decent sized run. Definitely felt like there could have been more, but I'm not going to complain about what we had. Like, it was some good stuff, I think. He brought Titans back to where it should be.
Yeah.
Right. I think that was the goal, and I think he accomplished it.
He really showed what a powerhouse they can be when they're working together. And exactly. I almost forgot to mention it, but we finally got the official Titans together. Everyone loves to do the Titans Go. It's a TV show, and it's catchy or whatever. But the phrase, the expression that the Titans truly own should always be Titans together. We finally got that. And in
Yeah,
a great moment, no less. So,
and booyah,
and booyah.
and booyah.
I'm happy.
Yeah. I'm a little let down by the fight though, because the way the last issue ended, with Nightwing said, "We need everybody." Like, okay, this is going to be massive, and then we get 2 pages of 4 heroes, and one of them gets blasted by Trigon, and we don't see the rest for the remainder of the issue till the end, when the fight's already done, and they're there to thank the Titans. Like, what was the fucking point?
Like, you did nothing.
You did, yeah. You got there.
You showed up. You had a cool
got doused
entrance,
in
and you got
flame.
swatted away.
Yeah, like there was no point to you even being there. And Superman, why are you even here? Those are magical beings.
Like,
you should be dead.
I mean, I get it because it's Superman. Like, of course he's gonna show up, even if it's magic. But I don't know. I'm just like well, not the gall, but the fact that after everything, they're just they're like they just kind of fly off and are never seen again. It's like, why were you here?
Yeah.
You served no purpose other than to show how powerful Trigon had become.
Yeah. Yeah. It's honestly kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
But the actual like fight with White Raven and Trigon was cool. And Trigon basically becoming her full self again was a nice little touch. So for that, like the art was cool too. I'll give it an 8.5.
Nice.
Also, can I just say, and you might hate this idea. For the Titans going forward, if they're adding roster members, and we know Roy is going to be on the team, yes, thankfully, starting next issue with the new creative team, can we get? And here's the thing: I know it's mostly a team of older members that have grown up and they grew up together and they were all friends as kids, the original Teen Titans. But can we get Connor Kent on the team?
It just feels wrong.
It does, but like
this lineup, you know what I mean?
I also want Connor to do something.
I hear you. And honestly, I'm not against it because I think it would be interesting to see someone from the third generation of sidekicks team up or be on a team with basically the first generation of sidekicks as almost like a now we're all really grown up.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you were going to do that, you'd have to bring Cassie and Tim and Bart and the rest of them. Because just having Connor, it would feel weird.
It would feel really weird. Okay, what about John?
See, I thought John was going to be joining the Titans. I was I was certain of that. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't read Beast World. I still haven't, so I can't say whether or not he was a part of that. But
he vaguely, not fully.
Yeah, because I was gonna say he did not show up in this arc at all.
No,
and I was surprised at that.
Yeah, I want John to join the Titans just for that one moment where he'll be on the team. And then he'll turn to Damien and go, nah, I'm on the Titans. You're not. How's that feel, bitch?
Not just like I made it to the Titans, not just the Teen Titans,
not
like
the Teen
the
Titans,
big boy Titans.
And I didn't need to make my own team. They accepted me for who I am.
I didn't have to kidnap anyone. They asked me to join.
Yeah, they wanted me here.
Yeah.
Now who's too young?
Oh man.
Yeah, fun times. Yeah, I want that. And then Dick was like, you know what? Maybe we don't need you. Yeah, we'll see. All right, you know who's also missing on the Titans?
Who's that?
Which I just remembered. He was on the Titans. Why wasn't he there this arc? I forget. Was the Flash.
Oh, I assume because of all the stuff going on Cy Spurrier's run, which we will get to. But yeah,
We'll get to right now.
yeah,
God damn it!
we'll get to it. We'll get to it in a flash.
I got a question.
What's up?
Why did I give myself this book?
I don't know. You had the choice. You could have given it to any one of us.
I know. When Josh said he might be able to make it, he said he'll take Flash. I jumped for joy. I didn't want to give it to you because I was giving you enough books that I knew you were going to enjoy, and I know neither of us have really been enjoying this run, and I've been avoiding Flash. I've been giving it to Josh. Figured, okay, I'll just take this one. How bad can it be? The last issue was pretty good.
Yeah.
But then you heard what I said yesterday about it.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell everyone how you really feel about this book?
Yeah. So this is issue 13, quoted and everything after, written by Simon Spurrier with art from Ramon Perez, colors from Matt Herms and Pete Pentazis, and letters from Hassan Asmani Al-Hau, with a cover from Ramon Perez. And granted, the cover does look pretty cool in a certain light. Broken Legacy. Yeah, it's not bad. So we pick up where we left off last issue. Wally and Barry are cutting through something. Cutting into something.
I think it's, and again, correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think anybody can correct
based on the last issue, the infection that Wally had been carrying.
Yeah, they're cutting it out of whatever
hit
this
the
is.
Speed Force. Like the payload had been delivered, and now they had to use the enchanted blade to cut that out so they could heal the Speed Force. Yeah,
they're cutting it out of, I assume this is the Speed Force.
Yeah.
And they're taking the infection out, which is conveniently shaped like a bomb from the Batman 66 movie.
Well, now I won't be able to see it as anything else.
I was just looking at it like, this reminds me of that scene on the pier.
Yeah.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. One of the greatest moments in cinematic history.
So true.
All right, so they do that, and then the Archangels appear and want to seize the poison, reinfect, time must die.
Time must die.
And they go chasing after Wally and Barry, but Wally instead stands still and is sucked down into something else, into another plane, and Barry is kind of left behind with the infection, but Wally is convinced the Archangels just want him, and apparently they do, and they go chasing after him, but they also show that they have his family. And with that, Wally's like, nah, fuck you. You don't mess with my family. Actually, no, he says, you do not fuck with my family.
Yeah. That was a cool moment.
But at the same time, his whole family is right next to him, including his infant son. Why the hell is he saying, you do not fuck with my family?
Well, I get it. Babies can't understand that stuff.
I don't know. My little 2-year-old right now cannot stop saying "holy shit."
Oh no! Look what I just said.
Every time she drops something, holy shit! Like, oh my god! No. It's adorable, but also
did you
troublesome.
Explain that's a bad word, a no word?
We tell her every time that's not something you should be saying. Doesn't stop her, because as soon as we say that's not something you should be saying, she just repeats it over and over and over again. Yeah, it's not great. So I feel it would have been nicer if it was, you do not mess with my family.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't mess with my family, you snargle bargle. That would have been a callback to the Jeremy Adams stuff.
There you go. But no, Cy Spurrier does not want to call back to anything. Because I feel like we've had this whole discussion about what is the Speed Force many times before.
It's like vibes, man. Yeah. But also it's alive. And it wants to feel, and also it's, well, I don't want to spoil it, but you'll get into it later, but it's expecting. It's got a bun in the oven.
Yeah. It's how it feels to chew 5 gum,
Yeah.
right?
No, it is though. It's Speed Force is exactly like those commercials.
It is. It's sensation fivefold. Yeah. I don't even know what it's got a. Wait, it's got a bun in the oven? Did I miss something?
Isn't that an expression for when you're expecting?
Well, yeah, but is the Speed Force expecting
Yeah, that happened in this issue.
in this issue?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is why I should not be taking this book. So it was around here where I skimmed.
Oh man.
I saw all the dialogue coming up. I saw a giant fucking eyeball, and then I saw 4 towering people. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? And then I got to the end of the issue where they all ended up back together again. And okay, I'll read from here. I kind of just got tired of this shenanigans, and I didn't even really get it.
Do you want me to fill you in or dry?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the Speed Force is having a baby.
Yeah, the Speed Force is preggers.
That is wild.
So yeah,
so
like
skimming
I said,
through the
Speed
stuff I
Force
skimmed through before, skimming through it again, there's not much else to talk about here apart from the families all together again.
Yeah.
4 extra dimensional beings are there, and they're on Wally's side, and then they begin to feel some pain coming out of the Speed Force, and Linda knows exactly what that feels like. And as she reveals, she's felt it 3 times. So then they kind of clue in that, yes, the Speed Force is having a baby. Whatever that means.
Which means
we
that
don't know.
Like all of the Flashes are the father. I don't want to think about it too much.
Oh God, no. Okay,
It takes 2 to make a baby. It had to come from somewhere. So you have to ask yourself who knocked up the Speed Force.
I don't want to go through this again.
Can we get Maury? Can we get someone to do a paternity test?
Oh, why?
Although
why? Why did Simon Spurrier watch the CW Flash?
If we're following what is it? Fucking literary clues. All evidence seems to suggest that a certain redheaded speedster might be the father, based on them being like, I wonder what happened to the baby. And then Wally's like, I had premonitions of the future of 2 Flashes, and both of them were me. Which means that the Speed Force gave birth to a Wally, to another Wally. Yeah, think about that for a second. Really let it sink in.
So Speed Force Wally is a redheaded stepchild.
Basically, yeah.
That
Wally is both the father and somehow the son at the same time.
And oddly enough, a Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Is Speed Force Jesus. Although I thought that was Max, but whatever. Oh, this book.
Next issue, Scartaris.
Yeah,
because that's what we need. Something a little more grounded.
So, how did you feel about Flash number 13, Rob? It really says it all, doesn't it?
The art was cool. Yeah, at the end, Wally does reveal to Linda that he had a kind of a vision when they were leaving the Speed Force. He had a lot of visions, but one of which was 2 Flashes fighting each other. Linda thinks it's him and Barry, but then we see the vision, and it's the all-in Flash costume that we will see, I think, next issue, the issue after, for Wally. And they're both Wally, and they're both wearing that costume, and they both call each other Wally. and they both say good luck to you, Wally. So, yeah.
Yeah, about sums it up.
See him next in Absolute Power number 4. And then next issue, he goes to Skartaris for some reason.
They needed a vacation.
Yeah, because that's where you want to go for a vacation.
Yeah. You can chill out with Warlord and, I don't know, fight
monsters.
Dinosaurs. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Why hasn't... Okay. So, forgetting the Flash for a second, please. I've had enough headaches today. So, Warlord was trapped on Skartaris years ago.
Yes.
He couldn't get out. And he became the Warlord and protected the lands. And since then, many heroes have come through, knows how to get to Skartaris and how to get out. Why hasn't he left yet?
Oh, well, it's because he wants to stay there. It's not, I don't think it's, because the whole thing is like Travis Morgan crash landed in Skartaris, basically just became this, barbarian, and then had a bunch of rollicking adventures throughout the 70s and just stayed there, because he liked it.
Yeah.
So I don't think he ever had any inclination, because he was like an Air Force pilot. So initially it's like, yeah, I need to get the hell out of here. But gradually it's just like, I mean, I don't know. I'm having a good time here. Why would I leave?
Yeah. I mean, doesn't he have family? Like,
no,
people that care about him.
He doesn't have family or friends. He's chilling.
Plus he's an Air Force pilot.
Yeah.
He's lonely.
Plus he's got a hot redhead to keep him company, and his best friend is also a barbarian. So yeah, he's living the dream.
Also, why are all the barbarian women in comics hot redheads?
I think you know the answer to that question.
Except for Shauna, she was blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of hot redheads, The Flash.
Oh boy.
Why did I have to go back to it? 4.75 out of 10.
Oof. Jeez. I'm at least going to give this a 7 out of 10 because I did like the last issue, and I thought some of the resolution was pretty cool in that, I don't know. I mean, it's wild and it's out there and it's crazy, and the idea of the Speed Force being pregnant, it seems bizarre, but it is so like dumb. Kind of it's wild enough that I'm like, yeah, I can kind of get on board with that.
I need to ask,
ridiculously,
how much CW The Flash did you watch?
Like 2 seasons. Like
2 seasons.
Okay. I could get.
So can I give you some insight? So
oh boy.
After like season 4, it went so fucking off the rails. By the final 2 seasons, they had started doing Joshua Williamson storylines,
really,
and included the Forces. The 4 forces. The problem is, while these other forces did choose hosts, much like the Speed Force chose Barry, the 4 forces, including the Speed Force, was technically reborn at the same time as the other forces, were somehow brought to life through the love Barry and Iris share for each other, and therefore they considered, all 4 of the forces considered Barry and Iris their parents. So the 4 hosts of the forces, including one guy who actually went to high school with Cisco Ramon, aka Vibe, called Barry and Iris mom and dad, including the Speed Force, who took on the form of Barry's dead mom and called Barry and Iris mom and dad. And then it gets worse. They actually took on the role of mom and dad after a while and started caring for the forces like they were their own children.
Well, it's a good thing I stopped watching this show.
So when I see this nonsense of Wally
Getting
and
flashbacks.
family are in the Speed Force,
Ah.
and the Speed Force is pregnant, and you think Wally might be the father and the child. I'm just, God, I can't do this again. I can't.
It's like, no.
Fucking can't. I gave up
My
watching
man
The
has
Flash once that started
PTSD.
happening. I couldn't even finish the series after that
Oh,
happened.
I'm so
I
sorry.
didn't watch the freaking lightning bolt lightsaber fight between Barry and Eobard. Yes, that fucking happened.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
That's
More so
the right
because
answer.
you just said things that
Don't make sense.
seem absolutely ridiculous in the
Yeah.
context of the Flash.
You want to know? You want to know why it happened? Speed
Hit me.
Force.
Oh, of
That's
course. Yeah.
Ain't gotta explain shit. It's just the Speed Force.
And the lightsaber, is that Speed Force too?
Yep.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought so.
Yeah. So yeah, I see this, and that's all I can think about, and I don't want to deal with it. I
don't
miss
blame you.
Jeremy Adams so much.
Oh man. Yeah.
It was
I
fun.
can't really argue with that.
It was nice. It was interesting. It was different.
It was light. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, it was light. Yes,
It was light, you know.
It was some interesting stories.
Well, I'm not even saying that in a bad way. Like honestly, I'm saying it in the opposite, where this has been, 13 issues of high concepts. I don't want to say pretentious, but like bordering on pretentious, like, poetic, kind of crazy Speed Force allegation. No, sorry, not allegations. Speed Force allegories.
Force allegations.
Speed Force is under investigation for questionable activity.
That Speed Force baby's not mine.
Speed Force allegories and all that stuff. And that is like, it's interesting, but I don't know. I mean, we were all having a good time with Jeremy Adams stuff, and I say it was light because it didn't require fifth level intellect to decipher it. It was just
didn't require a lot of brain power.
The Fraction is going to invade Central City and Keystone City, and the Flash needs to respond. And then you just go, and then you're off to the races, right?
Yeah.
Or what is his name? Warden Wolf is running for mayor of Keystone City, and Wally's trying to figure out what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Simple.
And
I'm not saying all stories have to be like that. Lord knows I love a complex, semi-convoluted story from time to time. But I think the reason that we're having this reaction is because they took something that was not broken and then broke it. And now it's like, what the fuck?
They cut it short halfway through the story. He had more to tell. He told us that himself. And they gave us confusion.
And the worst part is like it was such an abrupt end where you had that last 2-issue arc and then the anniversary issue and then it was over. And it was like, whoa, it was whiplash,
Yeah.
You never got that final resolution after 1 Minute War.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure the penultimate arc was 1 Minute War.
Yeah.
Which that was like a pinnacle arc. That's like a climax arc. And then you trickle down and finish off the loose ends. That's not like your penultimate arc, and then you have one arc to like figure shit out. It's like,
I mean, the only character arc that feels like it kind of got wrapped up was Max and Bart, which again would have been the perfect send off.
But then
we had this run, So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and like as much, you're right. It was light, but it did have its heavy moments too, like the 1 Minute War, which to this day I still think is easily one of the best Flash stories in the past 20 years.
Definitely top 10. Top 10. It reminded me a lot of, and this is probably why I liked it. I remember we were talking to Jeremy Adams about it. It was like it reminded me a lot of my favorite Flash story, Terminal Velocity.
Yeah,
and I was just. This is, I think we've gotten to, I'm going to say it, like a Mark Waid style epic story that, involves the whole Flash family and is great.
He found a way to include every member of the Flash family.
Like there was not a single character in the family that was wasted in that book. Even Jessie Quick got her time to shine,
And she had purpose because she was a mentor to Irie.
Yeah,
an inspiration.
and the
It's perfect.
and the cherry on top, the fact that we can remember all of this, and that run was like a year ago, maybe even a
Yeah.
year and a half ago, should
Right?
speak volumes about the quality of that
Yeah.
arc and the run on as a whole.
One of my favorite new characters in the past 5 years is Omega Bam-Man. And not
I
just
get
because
it.
it's wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
he's just charismatic and fun.
See, I would have given it to Omega Bam-Man, but
And
Gold Beetle. Gold
yeah.
Beetle took my heart.
Yeah, Gold Beetle is fantastic. Gold
Like
Beetle
at
is
first,
a character
Future State, I was like,
shrouded in
Gold
mystery,
Beetle.
and I'm
but
okay with that.
yeah, when Gold Beetle popped up
Gold
in the
Beetle.
Flash, I was like, sold.
Yeah,
That's it, done.
yeah. It's like this makes sense.
Yeah.
This is natural evolution.
You know what? I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something even more controversial. I think the quote unquote.
You say controversial. I don't think it's going to be.
Maybe it's not. I think the quote
I think I'm going
unquote
to agree with you.
simple plot ideas of Jeremy Adams had more and still have more potential than like all of the Speed Force machination stuff in this book. I still think like if a writer were to come in and develop the concept of the fraction a little bit more, that would be a great villain.
Yeah,
The basic concept of villains using the Speed Force as a way to conquer planets, that's genius.
it was
No one
brilliant.
even realized the potential in that.
Yeah,
Like it
it
served
was
its
a
function
really
for
good
a story. But
Yeah,
you could easily develop that further. Same thing with what was it? Was it the Vanishing Point or Sanctuary, where all the heroes who died during Heroes in Crisis ended up? I forget
it
what that was called.
was. Oh, well, Sanctuary was where they died.
Yeah. What was the name of that? Was it Paradox something?
It might have been Vanishing Point.
Yeah.
Because Vanishing Point's like that point at the end of time where the Time Masters hang out.
Yeah. But yeah, that was another really interesting idea.
Yeah.
The Speed Force Surge that Wally used to heal Jai, which they haven't even really gone into.
Yeah.
That was another great idea.
Planet Flash.
Like again, all these concepts that
Gold Beetle.
if you'd had a writer come in and expand on those, I'd have been sold.
Yeah.
You know?
No, instead we have to have psychedelic horror with extra dimensional beings that want to kill everything because they're bored.
Yeah.
And
they hate time.
And somebody like made love to the Speed Force, and now it's pregnant.
Well, you know, Wally, he was a player back in the day. People don't always remember that.
We tell Barry Allen to quit sticking this dick in the timeline. Now we got to tell Wally to quit sticking this dick in the Speed Force.
That's what I'm saying.
God damn it! Is that why the Flashes have so much energy? Is because they're just horny? Like,
probably. I mean, the Speed Force basically said the reason that it endows the speedsters with power is because it wants to experience life. So I don't know. Maybe it's picked up on the concept of horniness and sexual attraction.
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
This book.
I hope next part is better. 13 issues of this.
Yeah.
And like 3 things happened.
I don't want to be totally unfair to it. There were some interesting concepts, but ultimately, in terms of how it compares to the previous run, I think you and I both agree that it's just not the same.
Yeah. Anyway, now for something completely different and better. Speaking of psychedelic stories, but at least this one makes sense.
Psychedelic, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into this. Moving on outside of the Flash.
I never thought I'd say it, but I need to talk about the Outsiders to get a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
From psychedelic stories.
Yeah, from crazy high concept storytelling. Outsiders is your palate cleanser.
I need something a little calmer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's finish this. Yet another series that is coming to an end, or arc that's coming to an end, or however you want to classify it. But this is the final issue of Outsiders. brought to us by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, doing the writing, art from Robert Carey, colors from Valentina Tadeo, and letters from Tom Napolitano, and yet another stellar and final cover from Roger Cruz and Adriano Lucas. The Carrier has put a stop to Chiquita Wagner's machinations, basically, and reveals three possibilities. Let's say that. I don't want to say three possible futures, but three possibilities of where things might end up. So we flash forward to 8 years in the future, where miraculously Lucius Fox has been able to survive, and even in the midst of everything, all the heroes are still out there, and Luke and Jace presumably are still out there saving lives, as he mentions that his sons are out there saving the world. We cut to another possibility 37 years in the future, where it seems like I don't know if this is Lucius or Luke basically serving the role of old Bruce from Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
We even
I think that should be Luke.
Yeah. So basically, Luke is now the guy in the chair working with the old challengers of the unknown, the new ones at least, and is helping Terry McGinnis fight against all the incoming threats and different potential extra dimensional menaces that are coming through in that possibility. And then we cut to one which is a little bit more closer in terms of time, 6 months in the future, where Batwoman is facing off against the mysterious knight that we have seen throughout this series. And they're sort of having their final showdown. And that's when we escape from all these different possibilities to emerge with the blank page. And basically, the Carrier reveals that, all things are kind of coming to an end. But rather than let the future play out in a way where they have no say, they can be the authors of their own story, and rather than try and let Chiquita or anyone else navigate their futures or plot their futures, they will just become their own authors, and now they'll just start writing their own stories. Yeah, this totally is not psychedelic at all. So they're getting prepared to have their sort of last showdown with Chiquita, who is not prepared to accept this final potential truth where she does not have control of where the story is going. But she eventually decides that instead of being the villain or being the narrator or whatever it is, she decides to just accept that, she is not going to be in control of everything, and ends up navigating a completely new story of the outsiders that both gives Kate, Luke, and Lucius their kind of resolution, while also giving her somewhat of a peace of mind as she accepts that the world that she wants to create, bringing back Planetary and presumably bringing back her old universe, the Wildstorm universe, will not be the future that she gets. So the rest of the outsiders are returned to the Carrier while it seems to be collapsing or something like that. And we cut to 2 months in the future where Luke and Kate are just now making plans for what comes next. They've gotten word on a couple of new phenomena that have emerged, including a mysterious fellow known as the Doctor, wink wink for my Authority fans, as well as the Century babies that are popping up in the 21st century. But kind of hinting at what may come next, as Luke says that rather than calling this new team that they're putting together of Century babies and other oddballs, outsiders, they might need something that has a little bit more authority attached to it. Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of their cap on everything that has happened. Meanwhile, in the library, Chiquita is kind of having her last moment reading the story of the Outsiders before putting it back on the shelves and laying it to rest. And sort of decides to look at one more story to get her peace of mind. And that story is one that is probably familiar to many people, certainly familiar to me. The story of Planetary, as Jaquita decides to look back on the past of everything that has happened. So, yeah, I don't know. Kind of a weird ending. I don't really know how to feel about this. I want to say I'm satisfied with the character arc of Jaquita, but I don't know. Maybe there was a part of me that was hoping they'd find a way to, if not restore the Wildstorm universe, then at least have her go off and meet up with the rest of Planetary wherever they ended up, if they survived. So I don't know. It just kind of feels like Kate and Luke got to go back to business as usual, and they're going to go out there and continue to seek out the weird and strange and paranormal. But there's a part of me that feels like the arc that Jaquita should have had didn't really get satisfied in a way that I liked. So I don't know. It just I got to think about it a little bit more. But yeah, it's something about it just isn't quite sitting right with me. And maybe that's because I wanted that satisfying ending of her getting to reunite with her old friends from Planetary, but I don't know. Yeah, it's I got to think about it. So I gave this a 7.5 out of 10, maybe closer to an 8 out of 10. Like it was good, and it was a solid read, but there's still something about it that I feel like is unfulfilled, and I'm not sure what it is exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt too. Like it was nice seeing the kind of like future potential epilogues for the three main characters in the Outsiders, especially seeing how those potential futures affected their decisions when they came back. That Luke is still going forward with this team and is hinting at something even more authoritative, which really cool, which really makes me think and hope that maybe there's more to come out of this. Having Jaquita just be the librarian at the end, I get what you're saying, and I was hoping for that too, that she would get a bit more out of this ending and get a bit more of maybe a happy ending, but we've yet to see, unless that's something that happened in Planetary and the Authority with this library. Is it literally just a place to read the stories, or can it serve as a gateway into those stories as well? Like, will she be able to not just read Planetary and see her family and friends again in the story, or will she be able to enter that story and be reunited at the same time?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So there's kind of an open-ended question there, because we don't really know the fullest extent of this dimension as to what it really is. Again, unless that was part of the old Authority stuff, but I don't know.
No, I mean, there's no plot thread tying into the library and in the old Planetary stuff. I mean, there was obviously the Planetary Guide, but nothing about a library of stories, basically.
Right. But all in all, I think it was a nice little ending. Wild book, wild adventures.
Yeah.
All kind of tied together in the end. We saw new Sentry babies be born. Potentially Jenny Hex is a Sentry baby.
Potentially.
I think is the vibe I got from what Luke was saying at the end there.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. So, yeah, I think there's definitely going to be more to come. And maybe even a new Authority story.
Could be, yeah.
We'll have to see. I'm going to give it 8.5. 8.75. I was quite thrilled with this one.
Nice.
Quite enthusiastic. 8.75 for Outsiders. The one thing it was lacking, though, was a bit of action.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of expecting the more philosophical ending rather than just the all-out brawl. But
Yeah.
yeah, we only got like a little bit of a fight between the Outsiders and Chiquita. So
Yeah. And it was very one-sided.
yeah.
But if you want to see a fight that's not one-sided,
Well,
Action Comics.
yeah,
Number
is what I would
1069.
be saying if I enjoyed this book.
This is, excuse me, Superman and the Challenge from the Stars, Part 3 of 3, End of Games, written by Gail Simone, with pencils from Eddie Barrows, inks from Danny Miki and Jonas Trinidade, colors from Rex Locust, letters from Dave Sharp, and the cover from Eddie Barrows, Ibra Ferreira, and Tomu Mori. That was a nice cover as well, I think.
Yeah.
So. I really liked it. Though I couldn't help but unsee those two kids looking like Lois and Jimmy.
They do, don't they?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of odd. I can't unsee that, even though I know it doesn't make sense. Okay, so Superman, fresh off his victory in the last round, he can just barely stand, but he stands enough to show off that he is standing to the people of Earth who were cheering his names and happy that he is fighting for them. But as soon as the cameras are off him, he collapses, leaving only the robot attendant at his side to help hold him up. All the robots are continue to ask him if he's okay, and as much as they are pleased with him and happy with him and are on his side, he insists that he needs to do what he's doing. I forget this guy's name, but Lord Grunnar. Meanwhile, the bad guy, the guy that's causing all this shit, has discovered that various reporters on Earth are now speaking out against him, and he wants to now build a gulag for all the journalists because of the actions of one Cat Grant. Lois, meanwhile, is doing what she can after digging and using her own journalistic integrity and abilities to find out Superman's next opponent, a man by the name of Hux which is oddly dressed like Bolfunga the Unrelentless.
I didn't even think about that.
I see red and silver spiky armor. I think Bolfunga.
That is your lantern brain.
Yes.
Hard at work.
Also doesn't help that the Howlin' Pals volume I picked up yesterday has Bolfunga in it. So he's like fresh on my mind. But Bolfunga was always one of my favorite Lantern villains because you never know what you're going to get with Bolfunga in a story. He's either going to be like a serious warlord or comic relief. And no matter what, it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
But this is not Bolfunga. This is Hux if that kind of name sounds familiar, well, you will see yet just what he is. Superman once again is being asked if he's okay to continue, and since Lois and Jimmy are nowhere to be found, another set of secondaries have been asked to stand up with him, and they are none other than Koma of the Kund and Tamar Nal from Thanagar. So he has a Hawk and a Kund on his side. I'm struggling to remember what the Kund looked like, but I don't think it's this.
I can't even remember right now.
Yeah, like I just feel like when I saw Koma of the Kund, I'm thinking this. Look, I try to be a DC cosmic expert, but I'm no expert. I don't think this is what a Kund looks like, but I could be very wrong. But that's besides the point. That's honestly such a minor point to the story. The point is Superman has allies to help him out, and they are both like 100% on his side. They're offering him tips and helping him stand, and are fully willing to fight by him to the point that they both give him the tip that when you go in, hit below the belt. Just, right where it's going to hurt the most. Just do it. Of course, Superman being Superman, especially at this early age of him, he's not going to do that because that's playing dirty. So the fight begins, and out comes Hux as it's revealed, he is from Daxam. So being a Daxamite, he will have the same abilities as Superman. However, he was given a piece of kryptonite He had no clue what it was or what it does, but he was told by Lord Grunar to hold it during his fight. Superman, while having a back and forth with Huxer, um, eventually sees the piece of kryptonite and tells Huxer what it is, so he throws it away. And then Clark gets the upper hand and hits him just hard enough to push him out of bounds of the arena, which means he wins the fight. Tournament rules, after all. So that ends the fight, and then Lois and Jimmy arrive. With some help from Lex Luthor, they were able to free the Kandorians, and now all the Kandorians are pissed at Grunar and are going straight for him. But Grunar is able to keep things under control in the end. He leaves Earth behind. Huxer and Clark have an ally in each other now, because they trust each other and show valor towards each other, as much as Huxer was a grand warrior in the tournament and in this believe in valor and honor. At the end of it all, Clark is going back to work as Superman and is able to help save the day in Metropolis once more, going back to the beginning of the story where he helps Jefferson Pierce with his landlord problem and finds that the landlord was actually going through some fraud issues and didn't even have legal ownership of the building he wanted to demolish. So Superman saved the day on 2 counts, as he does. So being the potential first meeting of Jefferson Pierce and Clark Kent, I think that was pretty cool. And we got a nice little story of Clark early on as Superman fighting a bunch of aliens that threaten the entire planet. I'll talk about the story first, then I'll go into the backup.
Sweet.
It is really a grandiose story for a story that took place so early on in his career. So it felt kind of out of place, but it was an interesting story. I liked it. The only thing is, it feels like it's been done many times before. It feels like I've read the story already a couple times, but this time it's with Gail Simone dialogue, so it feels a little fresher. I don't know. There's something about the story that just didn't quite feel right, but I still really enjoyed it. And the art was really good. So I will give it, well, for the whole issue, I'll wait till the backup. Do you want to talk about the issue before the backup, or should I just do the backup?
You can just go right into the backup.
Go right into the backup. Okay. So this is Lois and Clark in Love at Work finale, part 3. This is written by Rainbow Rowell with art from Kian Tormey, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters from Dave Sharp. We finish off the little story with Clark standing on the rooftop of the Daily Planet in full Superman gear. Lois comes up to the rooftop, and they spend this little story having a little talk about everything that's been going on, going back and forth, and apologize to each other, and just kind of revealing their true feelings, and in the end find a compromise for each other. And this little tiff they have is just kind of resolved, all married couple like, and it's really nice to see at the end. Clark ends up staying on the People Peace blog with the fucking what the what the hell's the office called?
The Daily Planet?
No, not the newspaper, like his position, human interest column.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to stay on the human interest column because he's actually finding some fun in it. And Lois feels like she may have gone a little too far trying to find ethics in a world where ethics are kind of scarce, and trying to be the boss, but is kind of stuck between her husband and Superman and doesn't really know what to do. But they get it all worked out in the end, and Clark is going to stay on in the human interest piece. And they're both happy for now. So it was a nice little epilogue. Really weird story to tell, but I liked it. It was a cool little thing. I like seeing a more human side of these heroes sometimes, and there's nothing more human than having a married couple squabble over work. So, especially this whole issue was just them resolving it much like a married couple would, or at least should, I think. and much the same that my own wife and I have resolved our own squabbles here and there. So it reminded me a lot of my own marriage, so I thought that was really cool. I also wish I was Superman sometimes, but
Don't we all?
yeah. God, that bod. Woo, that bod. I wouldn't have this gut. I'd have just pure muscle. I'd be so happy. But that's besides the point. That's true for another tale. This whole issue, though, I'm going to give an 8.5. It's kind of a feel-good story throughout. Interesting little tales all throughout. The whole story arc itself was just kind of nice. A little aside. Really, between the back of the main story, just felt kind of weird to read it because it felt like it didn't need to be told, but as a standalone story, they were good stories. I like them. So, yeah, 8.5.
Nice. Yeah, no, I wish I could feel the same. Honestly, this arc has just been, I just have not been into it. And it's a shame because it's great seeing Gail Simone, write more Superman. The premise is kind of cool, but like you said, it's a premise we've seen a few times, so it's something new. But I don't know. I came away from this issue feeling the same way I'd felt for the previous two issues, was that I was just kind of bored. And honestly, the backup for me was the more interesting aspect, seeing, Clark and Lois kind of spar about work stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Very melodramatic, but entertaining, at least in a way that I was engaged in. But yeah, this just felt like, I don't know. I just was not as into it. To be honest. So I gave this a 7 out of 10. Like, not bad, and the art is great. I'm glad it's over, and I like the backup, but it's just not really for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure, it wasn't much of a mystery.
That it wasn't. But this next issue might be, except not really, because the mystery's kind of over at this point. We're at the
it's also not much of a mystery.
Yeah. But maybe the mystery is what this issue is. I don't have a follow-up.
Is it?
Is it? What is it? What is our final issue? Could it be something that a detective might figure out? Maybe. I'm trying, man.
I'm trying to help, but I'm fucking lost as well.
Yeah. It is Detective Comics
long
number
show.
1089. Yes, it has. Forgot what this was like. But yeah, Detective Comics number 1089.
We haven't had this many books the whole time you've been off.
Yeah,
it's been like 5 books a week, and then you
really
come back and all of a sudden here's 9.
Threw my ass back into the fire, man. But yeah, no, this is Detective Comics number 1089, the big finale to Rom V's run. I'm telling you, this week is all finales. The end of Tom Taylor's run, the end of Teenie Howard's run, the end of Outsiders, and now the end of Detective Comics. The Gotham Nocturne story has come to its crescendo.
Yep.
And yeah, what a crescendo it was, but we'll get into that. This was, of course, written by Ram V, with art from Guillaume March and Christopher Mitten, colors from, I didn't write it down, Luis Guerrero, and letters from Ariana Mar, with, yet another stunning cover and an incredible series of covers from Evan Cagle. And seriously, if you are not following this guy's work in Dawn Runner and the upcoming New Gods, there is something wrong with you.
Yeah, what are you even doing?
Seriously. But this issue picks up exactly from the cliffhanger in the last issue, where Batman was getting ready to face off against Queen Daria. They have kind of a few moments where they're throwing blows at each other, but Batman gets the upper hand because he's the real monster in this, and he's kind of narrating to himself about staring into the abyss and what it means to be a monster and what it means to win and all that stuff. It has a moment where he really shows the fear over the asthma-infected Queen Daria. but also get a surprise return, not so much of a surprise, but surprise for Daria return of Arzan, her son, who of course she had killed, um, and it kind of is really just yet another blow to all of her plans. As we see across the city that Nightwing, as well as others, have been holding off the last embers of the Orgum takeover, as well as Question and Jim Gordon, also kind of holding off the last little bits of the Gotham takeover from the Orgums, but not before they're able to execute one final plan, which has been orchestrated by the maestro Robert Carradine, who we saw in issue 1085, I think it was, who Batman had rescued from Blackgate, or sprung from Blackgate, to compose one final song that would reverse all of the effects of the asthma on the infected Gotham citizens, and also seems to have restored people's memories of uh, Batman, which had been kind of stripped away while the Orgums had used the Thelamus engine. But there's still that kind of last bit of their plan where they had hoped to flood the city with the fear of Jonathan Crane. And they had this giant door that had been super locked and was keeping Crane away and basically could not be sprung. But of course, who should be able to pick that lock but a thief, and a thief with no greater amount of skills than the Catwoman, who reveals that the van that was full of unconscious guards was not just a distraction to let Batman in, it was a distraction to give Catwoman time to get in and also spring the lock. So they're able to make their way into Scarecrow's contraption, where Daria reveals one final failsafe in this whole mechanism, and that is that the only way to stop the fear pulse from triggering would be to kill Scarecrow. But of course, Batman, being as crazy and demonic as he is, literally just needs to look into the eyes of Jonathan Crane, give him the fear of the demon, and that is enough to completely overload and shut down the machine, but not before it emits one final pulse, which basically instills the fear of Batman into the rest of the city. And we get a montage of people all across Gotham, from Two-Face to the Ten-Eyed Man to Mr. Freeze to Azrael, all remembering that pure primal fear of the Batman as they see his eyes and are reminded of just how terrifying it can be. And then we cut back to the aftermath where the city is trying to recover from everything, and Batman and Selina are having one final moment where Batman is just kind of reminding her of all the things that he went through and how he's kind of come through the other side, and also that Gotham is changing. But it's not so much of a bad thing this time that Gotham is changing. But it's, it's gonna, whatever it will be, it will be. But he has kind of made his peace with it, and now he has to tie up some loose ends. And then it just kind of ends, which I don't know about you, but it felt a little abrupt. Like there was some stuff that they mentioned with Joker's daughter and Mr. Freeze and Two-Face and all this stuff that doesn't really get resolved. I mean, they basically say, "Oh, Batman is going to deal with it," or Batman's like, "Oh, I'm going to deal with it," and then it just ends, and you're like, "Whoa, okay, I guess that is the ending." So I don't know. I got to think about this ending and this run as a whole, because I was um, in anticipation of this final issue. I got the chance to just reread like the last 4 issues of this act of Act 3, just to kind of remind myself of what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've noticed with this run is, number one, it reads so much better as one complete story than month to month. I think this run really fell victim to the monthly churn of, you read it and you're like, that was pretty good, and then you forget about it and it just kind of keeps going. And because the story is so long, it feels like it's so much more spanning than it actually is. If you read it cover to cover, like the beginning of Rom's run to the end, it's fine. It's a fine read, but reading it month to month was just, I think it severely hindered the momentum of this book. But the other thing is, did this run live up to its potential? And with this ending, I don't know. I feel like there's a part of me that wants to say it fell a little bit short of having that grand epic crescendo that it should have had. Like the last issue I thought was pretty good, and it felt like it was really building up to this grand climax, and then I don't know, it just felt like this is another case where it should have been maybe a double-sized issue or something to properly resolve some of these final threads before finishing, but it just didn't do that. It just basically was like, oh, Batman defeated Queen Daria and reversed the Asmers, and the city's still on fire, but like he'll deal with it later, whatever. And
Yeah.
that's the end. And you're like, can we see that part? Because we're gonna go to Tom Taylor's run after this, and he's not gonna clean that up. He's gonna be doing a clean break with All In. So I don't know. It just felt like oh, I ran out of time. Okay, well I guess
Yeah.
there's still some stuff that we got to get to, but I'll get to it later. Whatever. Okay, we're done. The end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. To me, it feels like this run had so much going for it, and there were so many great moments, and I definitely plan to reread it at some point, the whole thing, cover to cover. But my fear is that this ending will always feel a little incomplete. And it's honestly, I remember feeling the same way about the Swamp Thing, where there were certain plot threads that I felt like never got the proper resolution. And I hope this isn't a problem that Rocky has with just having a satisfying ending, because I know endings are notoriously hard to write, but it just felt like it ended prematurely, and it needed to resolve some of these things to feel really satisfying. So I gave it an 8 out of 10 because art was stellar as always, and the writing is great, and it flows great, and it's a solid read. But it just for it to have really stuck the landing, and for me to have walked away and been like, that was a great ending. That was, I'll be talking about that one for years. It just needed a little bit more, and it didn't have that, and that's kind of disappointing. So that's how I felt about this final issue.
Yeah, I've been afraid this whole time of how this story was going to end, and I was afraid it was going to end something like this, where it doesn't live up to the same hype that the story had, even throughout the ups and downs, that it will be a little rushed. Like, when you have a story as grandiose as this, it was 2-year-long arc. When you have a story this big and this interesting and this deep, how do you end it with any meaningful case while still not changing the status quo too much? Because end of the day, this isn't main series Batman. This isn't a big major overarching events. This is just Detective Comics. And don't take that the wrong way when I say just Detective Comics, but like, when has anything major groundbreaking universe shaking ever happened in Detective Comics, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's always been a staple book, but like it's like, stories have happened where they've been groundbreaking, but they've been like crossover stories, right?
Yeah, well, there have been iconic stories in Detective Comics. Don't get me wrong. I mean, one of the best Batman stories of all time, the Black Mirror, was a Detective Comics story. But I also hear what you're saying in that.
Yeah, like, that didn't change Batman forever.
No, it was just, it was a great story,
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, a story like this craves an ending that will change the character for a good long while, that will bring about a bit of a new status quo. But with everything that's going into All In with a new initiative, being tied down to just the one book, and having Batman appearing in half a dozen other stories that are in continuity, you can't do all the status quo changes that this story would bring about or desire. Right. So ending it was always going to be a challenge. And
like, don't get me wrong, I think that all this stuff of, there are major changes, especially with Batman, and like all the character stuff that he went through. All that stuff is valid, and it felt like it was earned because you had the great arc where he was just in the sand and he was literally fighting with his demons as well, and came back super energized, and like that stuff was earned, and it felt satisfying, but it feels like they put all that stuff up. They made their statement. Like Batman came away with his character arc. He was changed, and then he was just like, "Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever. The city's on fire, but I'll get to it later." And then it's over. And you're like, when am I going to see that later? That later will never come. That later will never be. And that
they even tease us yet again. Yet another writer teasing us with him and Catwoman saying, "Hey, when this is all over, maybe we should." Yes, maybe we should. Maybe you should what?
Maybe we should,
get married.
Nice. Maybe
we should have Helena.
Yeah,
we should take a vacation. Like, fuck.
And they're
Stop
like,
teasing us with this relationship, but just give it to us.
Yeah, and they're like, and they're like, Two-Face, what's gonna happen with him, and Joker's daughter, what's gonna happen with her, and all this stuff, and then they're just like, okay, bye.
Yeah,
we're done.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, right. We saved the city while it falls to pieces.
Yeah.
There's so many loose ends left open. What's happening with Two-Face? How different is it? It was also kind of iffy having Mr. Freeze such a huge part of the story, and then have him also in Harley Quinn at the same time.
Yeah.
And be like two opposite Mr. Freezes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff happened. It was a huge story, 2 years long.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah. Hell, over 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it came in around 27 issues.
Yeah, this story started in the summer of 2022.
Yeah, so it was June. I remember that because that was when Batman went over to Chip Zdarsky. I don't know why that stuck in my mind, but it was June.
Yeah, and it was pretty iconic.
They changed over the same month.
We're all really excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. It's a damn shame it ended the way it did. I mean, it definitely feels like there could have been at least one more issue, like an epilogue or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Or
but
even
we're not gonna get that.
And again, I was sad about the fact that it ended, but I'll give you another example. When Philip Kennedy Johnson's run on Action Comics ended, and there was definitely some stuff that felt unresolved, at least they gave us the double-sized issue to kind of try and tie up, the what was it, the dark multiverse invasion thing, and I can't even remember the name of that. Blue Earth, the Blue Earth plot. At least they were kind of able to resolve that, and then it was like, okay, the Fire of Olgrin stuff and all that, that's a bigger story for another day. But at least that story arc got a satisfying ending with a bigger conclusion. But this was just like, fuck, we ran out of time. Like, okay, all right, we gotta get to the end, but oh no, we're out of time. Okay, bye. And I hate endings like that. It kills me.
But what busts my chops more is that ending for Philip Kennedy Johnson was forcefully rushed because he was taken off that book against his will. He wasn't ready to end it there, and he had more story. But Ram V told the story he wanted to tell, and he was given the time to do it. And he said, I have plot for this many issues. Unless maybe it is kind of his fault, and he was told a little too late that, we're going to take you off by October because we're going to have this all-in initiative. So you need to wrap up by October. Maybe he could have had one more issue and needed to have one more issue. Who knows? But it definitely didn't sound like it was sudden.
Yeah.
Right? Or forced. So I don't know. The timing of all just seems like this has been in the works for a while. So I don't know. I am going to give it an 8.25. The art, stellar. The character work, stellar. The resolution for a lot of the story, really good. But there was a lot more resolution to be had. So what can you do?
I agree. Completely
Yeah.
agree.
Did you give your score?
Yeah, I said 8 out of 10.
All right. All right. So with that, I'm back. Let's get into our top 3 and favorite moment if you have one.
All right. You want to kick us off?
Sure thing. So at number 3, I am going to give it to, let's say, where the fuck am I here? Okay, that's going to be number 1. Sorry, I should have numbered these a bit better. We'll say Action Comics. Fun little story there. Again, a finale. Number 2, I'm going to give to Titans, and number 1 is going to be Outsiders. Favorite moment for me is the beginning of Titans. As much as I complained about it, is when the heroes arrive and Jean instantly gets vaporized by fire because Trigon was like, "Hey, you're a Martian. You're afraid of fire. Eat hellfire," and that sums up basically every Martian Manhunter story from the past 20 years.
Basically, like, oh,
And
fire, he's done, he's out.
yeah, and every time I see something like that, it just makes me think of Blackest Night issue 2, where he goes, "Why do they always forget? I'm stronger than Superman." Like, yeah, Jeff Johns gets it. Why can't the rest of you?
I don't know, because they're just like, oh, fire, it's so gimmicky, like so easy
Yeah.
to shut him down, you know.
Yeah, you know what else
They
was
play that
gimmicky?
up more than they
Wood
play up
and
kryptonite.
yellow and a
Yeah.
glowing rock. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Bro,
yeah.
where's the respect for Martian Manhunter?
You know, that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. One of these days, man.
You know, can I just say, and I hate always bringing up EVS. I don't always. I hate ever bringing up EVS.
Ugh,
But
I hate thinking about him.
I know, but it's just 2009 Fan Expo when I met him gave me a glimmer of hope. So my dad and I went. It was my first con, and we went to go see him. And obviously Green Lantern Rebirth had happened, and he was in the middle of Flash Rebirth at the time, and we were getting my trading card signed. And we asked him, "Is there any other character you'd want to draw or see in a Rebirth status?" And his first answer was Martian Manhunter, and that gave me hope that maybe there will be a heyday for Martian Manhunter again. Right? Yeah. Thankfully not drawn by EVS because he's going nowhere near that shit now.
Yeah.
But I would love to see a Martian Manhunter Rebirth.
And right? What's weird is it felt like there have been moments recently, at least, like I'm talking the last year or two, where it felt like they were teasing the idea of a writer doing something with Martian Manhunter. I'm thinking specifically of Dan Waters, who had written Martian Manhunter on like 3 separate occasions, very deliberately. And you don't just do that. I mean, maybe you have a character you have an affinity for, but it just seemed weird to me that he was doing, you know, the Worlds Without a Justice League Martian Manhunter story, and also a short story in, what was that, Lazarus Planet, and also a story in the Action Comics Doomsday Special.
Yeah.
3 separate occasions, and it just felt like, is this gonna lead somewhere? Because usually you have a writer kind of experimenting with a character a couple of times, it develops into, oh, I'll do a mini or something, right? But it feels like maybe they had a plan for that, but it just it either didn't materialize or it hasn't materialized yet. Not to give you false hope, but you know, fingers crossed that maybe they could do that at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so.
I just want to see more stuff with John. If we can get challengers, we can get a Martian Manhunter ongoing. I believe.
Right? You know what?
I want to believe.
Put him in with the Omega Men.
I could see that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool.
Or
there's no fire in space.
Yeah. Or what if he, along with Vril Dox, decides to reboot Legion or Rebels? I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Like, we need all this shit going on in space right now with United Planets and all that stuff. It's crazy, and relying on the United Planets is just not going to help anyone. So why don't we have ragtag team run by Martian Manhunter to try and get the cosmos in order. Like, I'm so down for that.
Right?
It can't just be me. It can't just be me and you. Other people want that. I know.
Yeah. Like they tried that a small bit in U-52 with Stormwatch, but just
Yeah.
didn't hit the same.
Yeah.
Like it's perfect. Like Martian Manager's like, I feel at peace with this planet and I love the Earth and love to protect it, but I feel a need to explore outside of this planet and maybe I can see what's out there. And he just comes across real dogs. So like, Legion 2025.
Yeah.
That's a fucking title right
I would so be down for that.
Yeah.
I would write that myself if I could.
Let's do it. On one condition.
What's up?
Get Tigor in there.
Of course.
Yeah. That's all I need from the Omega match. Just get Tigor.
Yeah. Forget the rest. Forget fucking what's his name?
Exactly.
Block,
yeah.
Block.
Tigor was always the coolest, let's face it. I would love to have like a DC's version of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Ongoing.
I mean, it feels like the Omega Men always had the potential to be that, but no one's ever gone that route.
Definitely did. And if it's not them, it's Legion.
Yeah.
But
it's probably, because like, let's be honest, the Guardians kind of became popular, at least in the comic sense, during the DNA run, and that was like hot off the heels of Annihilation, and it just catapulted the possibility of having this team that could patrol the cosmos and also, kind of have fun with it and make jokes and stuff. And DC really needs, if you were going to do that, you need enough traction and energy from an event like Annihilation to then springboard a series like that.
But they can't help doing a cosmic event without including every hero from Earth.
Yeah.
Right? That's the problem. Annihilation was 100% cosmic based.
The reason for that is the moment you involve, and I know you're going to get mad, but the moment you involve Green Lantern, it becomes a superhero book. It shouldn't be that way.
I mean, you're not wrong, but like they could do it where it's not an Earth-based Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Right? Have it like Kilowog. Have it
and
like
that's like
a recognizable Green Lantern.
Dude, that's such a killer idea. Imagine it was like, let's say, a team of honor guard lanterns, and not a single one of them was from 2814.
Yeah,
so it's just like elite team of GLs, basically acting as the Nova Corps. Well, I mean, before they got obliterated, but basically acting as the Nova Corps.
Don't do that. Don't obliterate the.
I don't want them to get because they've done that 5 times.
It's happened like so many times.
I know.
That's why I
remember.
Again.
Oh my god! It was no, it was. I remember when Donny Cates took over Guardians of the Galaxy in like 2019, and starting his second arc, and the like newly reformed Nova Corps got killed off again, and I was just like, if there was a competition between the Nova Corps and the Green Lantern Corps for who got obliterated more times just to be like fodder, I don't even know who would win. I honestly don't.
Yeah,
I think it might be the Green Lantern Corps, but I can't be sure.
I think it might be a tie at this point.
Yeah, because it's like every major storyline or every big event, half of them get fucking killed.
Yeah.
And then there's a story arc where it's like, we need to bring new lanterns back. And then those ones end up getting killed like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to your like idea of an elite lantern team, like Arisia, Kilowog, Goran's son, fuck it, Salak. Let's have some of the original New Guardians around, and then I'm trying to remember who's not dead.
Is Island still alive?
I think she's still. I don't know. I think she's still alive, but I don't know that she's active.
Yeah, I would
Let's say 2-6.
2-6. Yeah, 2-6. I would throw maybe because I'm biased because I've been reading this stuff recently, but I would probably bring oh my god, why am I blanking on her name right now? Sinestro's daughter.
Oh, Saranic Natsu. Yeah, but she's last time we saw her,
my
she was
brain just stopped working. But yeah, I know I don't even know if she's still a Yellow Lantern, but
yeah, that's the thing. I need to reread Howlin' Pals.
Yeah,
to figure out because that was the last time she was seen. But I think
she basically. I mean that didn't get resolved. She flew off, with the Yellow Lanterns and was like, "See ya, lose my number," and then they were gone. And then when the run that shall not be named started, Sinestro was just back in charge of the Yellow Lanterns, unexplained.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. We'll have them, and then we'll say the Volcano Lantern. I can't remember his fucking name.
Oh man, yeah, I can't. My brain is not working today.
Yeah. And you know what? Brick, because Brick is awesome.
Fuck it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Brick is still alive. I hope Brick is still alive.
Is Green Man still alive?
I think so. Yeah, fuck it. Throw Green Man in there. And Stell. Stell deserves some.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. I can't believe I'm awesome. Stell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stell's definitely
like Goran Sun and 2-6 are probably two of my favorite new lanterns from the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely need to be included. I don't even know if Goran Sun is technically.
He's wait, what was his name? Was it Kahan?
Oh, that's the guy with the horns.
Yeah.
He might be dead. I don't remember now.
Oh yeah, no, he died during Sinestro Corps War.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah. But you just have that group. You don't need Earth Lanterns. There's enough lanterns in the universe that you don't need to include any of the 7 people from 2814.
But the idea is like
other fucking people to pick.
Yeah, the idea is if you were to involve the Green Lanterns in a big epic cosmic crossover story a la Invasion, you wouldn't have any Earth-based lanterns, right? Yeah. That's how you sell it. And if people are excited about that and they buy into that, then that's like, okay, well, you can have your Green Lantern on Earth and you can also have your Green Lantern Corps that is entirely separate and features a bunch of aliens that have nothing to do with Earth doing their own thing as well. And can just exist outside of each other without it becoming yet another superhero crossover.
Yeah. So I think that's not something that's really been done, is have a Lantern book that is not featuring an Earth-based hero.
The closest thing is Tales of the Green Lantern Corps. Like
Yeah,
because those were just like tales of random lanterns, basically.
Yeah.
And, it was rare that they would feature a human.
And I guess the Green Lantern Corps spinning out of Green Lantern Volume 2, like that occasionally had some issues that featured some intergalactic lanterns, but they were on Earth. So it's kind of hard. Yeah. Like Kilowog's adventures in Soviet Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, maybe it would be too much. Maybe it would be too much of a ripoff of Annihilation, but what made Annihilation work outside of all the stuff that was going on, on Earth with all the other Marvel heroes, is that at the same time they're dealing with civil war, so they don't even know. Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts of. I mean, it's tragic, but it was one of my favorite parts of the Nova series that spun out of that event, which is like Nova goes back to Earth, and no one knows what happened. Like all of this shit went down with the Annihilation wave, and because everyone has been so busy with Civil War, they didn't even know it happened.
Yeah,
which is crazy, but that's kind of how you'd have to do it.
Yeah, like I would think if you're gonna do it, it doesn't have to be tied to Earth at all. Like,
yeah,
obviously that was an interesting like footnote at the end of it all. It's like, okay, nobody on Earth knew this happened because they were busy, and that sucks for Richard Rider. But
Yeah.
like at the same time, if you're going to do something like that for DC, you don't have to include any Earth heroes at all. It doesn't have to include Earth whatsoever. Just let it be its thing, and have the Omega Men, have Legion. I say no Earth heroes, but have Martian Manhunter, because he's technically a cosmic
It
hero.
would be like the one Earth connection, but you can do the Richard Rider thing where, let's say John's been, on space. I can't talk today. In space, dealing with whatever cosmic threat, and he's disconnected from Earth communication, so he can't even reach out to the Justice League or anything like that. So basically, he is a connection to Earth, but he's not trying to bring all the DC heroes out to save the day.
Exactly. Like, that would be perfect.
Yeah. What a dream.
Yeah. The only thing
what are
is,
we talking about again?
What would it be? It can't be Annihilation Wave, because there's no there's I was gonna say there's no negative zone in DC, but that's literally the antimatter universe.
Well, I don't know. I guess I was thinking like
antimatter. No, I was gonna say the antimatter wave. That's literally Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I wouldn't want it to be too much of a ripoff of
Annihilation.
Yeah, of Annihilation. But there was this idea that was kind of teased throughout Grant Morrison's The Green Lantern of how would you do something like this? The concept of Ultra War, which is basically and it makes me wish that, I mean, the closest equivalent that DC has to like a Kree and Shi'ar would be Rand Thanagar, and I don't want to do Rand Thanagar War again. But some kind of conflict that is instigated between two different races that then spirals into to total war, into Ultra War basically. And so the premise is in a universe that is completely unraveled, where every species is out for themselves. It's a free for all. How do you try and rein that in? How do you bring order to that? And maybe the cherry on top could be, in the midst of Ultra War, there is some kind of invasion force like the Annihilation Wave that then makes it even more crazy.
Okay, so bear with me. So the United Planets are around to pretty much prevent that exact thing happening. But let's say the Tamaranians and the Thanagarians begin to have disagreements, and then the Spider Guild starts to weave some webs, and the Ranians are like, well, we believe the Tamaranians because they still have like hatred towards the Thanagarians.
So that's pretty much the entire Vegas system, just at each other's throats.
Yeah, and that brings in the Omega Men. But then that kind of sparks the Ultra War, because words are said and things are brought up, but that mystery in the background is not just Durlans, but also working with Quardians.
Yeah. Actually, that would be something really cool, where it's like let's say
the Quardians great again, and like
let's say you have the Tamaranians, at war with the Thanagarians, and the Tamaranians then decide to reach out to people on, I don't know, planet Kund, right? And so now they're forming alliances with the Kunds, which means the Kunds, by association, are now at war with the Thanagarians, and so it just kind of spirals, and so it's like war. Now it's become like a universe war of allies versus allies.
Yeah, and there's just a ragtag team of Universal heroes that are trying to figure out, why did this happen? What's going on? Nobody's stopping because everybody's fighting, and like something doesn't feel right. And this is where the Omega Men, Legion, Martian Manhunter, and a select group of Green Lanterns are going in to try and figure out what's happened and stop it.
Oh, actually, shit. This is where you bring in your antimatter wave. So under the threat of some kind of, conquest or invasion, unbeknownst to anyone, let's say the Quardians. Oh my God, here we go. The Quardians have developed a new antimatter tower that can pry open a portal and unleash the antimatter wave. So whoever the Quardians are allied with now has the power of total annihilation.
And if we're going to do that, we have to kill a planet.
Yeah, like that would be like the opening scene or something, where it's like if you had like a prelude issue or something that set up the new dynamics of war. The first issue would just be the total eradication of a planet via the antimatter wave. And now it's like, shit, what do we do?
I have a question for you then. Have the Zudarians suffered too much yet?
No, but they certainly can. And,
okay, so we kill Zudar. yeah. Tomar-Ray and Tomar-2 are no longer around. So
yeah, because you could do it in two ways, where it's like, why wasn't the Zudarian Lantern watching the planet when this happened? And you have a bunch of Zudarian refugees who now have nowhere to live, and they have to figure out where to go.
I'm about to bring up a plot point that you're going to hate.
Oh boy, here we go.
There is a Kryptonian that got lost in the antimatter universe that is working with the Quardians, and he wants to kill Zudar because Tomar-Ray failed to save Krypton.
I don't hate that plot point. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not great. I know.
But it's not bad though. It could be something, where it's like you were supposed to be there and you weren't, and now you're in the exact same position that we were in.
Yeah.
Based on something that I caused, and you weren't there again. So yeah. I like it. What are we calling this one?
Annihilation.
I actually kind of like Ultra War as a title.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Ultra War. And let's face
it,
a lot of titles
90s,
are spinning out of Grant Morrison ideas, but it works.
I'm fine with that.
Come on, DC, do it, you cowards.
Please.
Yes.
You already got two people who are willing to write this shit. All we gotta do is just coordinate all the tie-ins.
We have the fucking plot already.
Yeah.
We need to coordinate the tie-ins, which doesn't even need many.
Come on, DC. Let these two untested writers write your next big event.
Yes.
I've never written a comic in my life, but now is the time to start. Go big or go home.
Yeah. Let's fucking do it.
Oh my God. Could you imagine our first comic was like this giant event comic? We're just two complete newbies.
Yeah, and not only a comic event, but we're spinning out of Grant Morrison.
Yeah. I don't know.
People don't do that until they're in their seventh year.
Yeah.
Like 3 runs.
Or they're just like a super famous screenwriter or something.
Yeah.
Neither of which we are.
No, we're just lifelong comic readers.
Yeah.
Pretend to know our shit. But we're just over the 3-hour mark. Speaking of 3, let's give your top 3.
Whew, man. Top 3 for this week. Oh, yeah. Top 3 for this week. Number 3, Zatanna, Bring Down the House. Number 2, maybe the Lobo Cancellation special. And number 1, I got to give to Titans. Definitely was my pick of the week. And honestly would have my favorite moment with the white costume Raven if it wasn't for a line that I'd forgotten about in Absolute Power Task Force 7. That we were just going through the issue again, and I looked at it. Laughed. Finally made it to Red Star. He's just kind of talking to them and everything. Jack-o'-lantern says, I had to pull it up. I'm not going to do an Irish accent. Let's all join up with the Communist Space Army. That'll make everything better. And you can just like sarcasm oozing out of that statement. It just made me laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one.
Favorite moment of the week?
I did. That's what started a whole ultra war topic.
Okay.
It's Martian
Yeah.
Manhunter being wasted yet
Yes.
again. Yeah. All right. So with that is our show. We had to get out of here, so you have to as well. So remember, in the Geek Matrix, everybody has a home. In the Geek Matrix, you are not alone. Peace, and subscribe to our Discord.